Welcome everybody listening at home today for Bar TV. All around the world, the home of grassroots sports. We're here today for the 2020 KINGSGROVE Cup in Sydney. It is the University of New South Wales hosting the Newcastle Steel team. And with me here in the commentary box is Josh Leeson from the Newcastle Herald and Pete Davis joining me. How are we today, Josh?
Very good, mate. Very good.
It's a wonderful day for cricket, isn't it? The sun's out, the wind's swirling. How do you see this game going?
Well, it's pretty much do or die now for Newcastle. They lost the earlier game today against Eastern Suburbs, so I think they need to win this. They're going to have to win it strongly with run rate. But I like their chances. This University side on paper doesn't look as strong as the East side, which had Nick Maddison and Phil Neville in the side. So I give them a chance, but this Village Green is not looking awfully green, is it?
You know, definitely a big bit of a dust bowl here, and the wicket certainly crumbling up a little bit with the game before. Pete Davis also with me. How are you, Pete? Early wicket's the key in this match, mate?
Yeah, I think so as well. And obviously for Newcastle, get off to a good start bowling. So first six overs are extremely important for Newcastle Steel here. So it's a beaut day, plenty of sunshine, and looking forward to a great day.
Yes, and University have won the toss here and elected to bat. As I said, the wind is swirling around. Newcastle coming in for the first ball, taking their run-up as we see. Just a bit of a practice run-up there. The team batting first, you know, do they have the advantage in this 2020? Do you think with both teams, Newcastle have to get their quotient up? Do you think it's going to be a bit of a slogfest, this one?
Yeah, it could be with the quotient situation. So, yeah, it's just important for Newcastle. And I was reading this morning that to really step up to the plate here. So these overs from Mark Cameron are extremely vital as well.
Yes, and Josh, talk us through this opening bowling section. Where do you think they're going to pitch it? Pitch it up and get the batters playing for the ball? Or is it going to be a nice tight start, do you think?
I think Mark Cameron, having seen him in previous games, he'll probably go for a couple of short ones in the early overs. I mean, he does like to bowl with a little bit of intimidation, and I suppose it's probably not what you expect in T20 cricket, so you can potentially, surprise a few batsmen and pull out a rash hook shot or a pull shot, that sort of thing. Given the run quote, and I think they've really got to come out and take wickets early and potentially roll this uni side for something cheap so they can chase it down quite quickly.
Yes, and we've got Walkham and Duplessis opening the batting. Now, Duplessis is an interesting one. He has played first-class cricket in South Africa, I'm led to believe, as the bowler comes in now for the first ball of the match. Ooh, and it's a ripper there. Where do you think this game's going to be actually won? Is it going to be won through the middle order, or is it going to be won sort of at the start, as we mentioned before?
Well, I think, for both teams in particular, if you're talking about it, I've always thought the first six overs are extremely important. You've got to get off to a good start. You've got to have a target, I believe, when you're playing this form of the game. So I'm sure both sides have got a real target in mind for the first six overs at least.
Ooh, and that runs down to third man. Obviously no one fielding there, could make the boundary, and that'll be buys, I believe. That's not a bad start there for the Bumblebees, as they're known, the University of New South Wales. Crowd scattered around everywhere. Probably a bit of philosophy happening at the University of New South Wales, Josh.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of, what's it, Freud, you think? Maybe I think Freud's very popular around here.
Freud's the only one I know, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not too high on philosophy either, but maybe a bit of postmodernism as well.
As Cameron comes in. Oh, he's just getting that to come down the leg side there, and that's a wide called there for Cameron. That's the first wide of the match, is it?
Yes, it is, and I think that last one was a run. I think he actually got a bit on that, so I didn't see the umpire signal by there, so I think it was runs.
Yeah, it's nice. So the Bumblebees here for nothing at the moment. None for four. It's a cautious start here by the Bumblebees, the University of New South Wales, not looking to thrash it about. I tell you what, my 2020 career, cow corner was always my go-to zone. Where do you think the runs will be scored here today, guys?
Well, yeah, I think, as you say, cow corner is probably one of the favourite spots for anybody, but I think the important thing here for Mark Cameron is to just keep pitching the ball up, keeping it nice and tight. So here we go for the next ball.
That's a little bit mistimed there, that shot, as it comes away to the boundary, and fielders coming round. We'll get 3 here, though. That's good running between the wickets.
Yeah, not the quickest of outfields either here today. Obviously a little bit patchy, and you saw then on the throw and also on the shot that it did get caught up a little bit in the sandy soil. So that might be a factor that both sides have really got to think about today.
Yeah, he seems to be bowling a little bit towards the leg side here, Mark Cameron. Maybe trying to set them up, do you think?
Well, he could be, yeah. He could be, obviously, as I said, have a bit of a plan here to try and get some early wickets. So this will be interesting to see where this next ball goes.
And he's just chipped that off his pads there to the fielder. Thrown in, that's good cricket all round.
Might just give the umpires a quick plug. Umpires from Sydney, Andrew Hamilton, and of course local Newcastle umpire is Ross McKim. So we're looking forward to a fantastic afternoon here.
Yes, and Josh, what do you think a good target would be for both sides? What do you think they'll be aiming for?
I think 140 is an absolute minimum, but probably about 160, 170.
Good sharp running between the wickets there, and good fielding too by the Newcastle side. Fielding obviously a big factor in this 2020 format as well. How do you think the two sides are placed with their skills around the field there, Pete?
Oh, look, Newcastle's pretty tight in the field. They've got some really good fieldsmen. Obviously, I haven't seen the Uni of New South Wales team, but I think fielding is extremely important again in this form of the game. So, yeah, I think. And you were talking about targets there before. I think in this form of the game as well, you've got to score 150 plus to really have a good score on the board. So anything below 150, it's a gettable target.
Yeah, well, 9 off the first over there, so the score is 0 for 9 here at the Village Green, with Walcombe on 8 and Duplessis on 1.
Okay, none for 10 actually.
None for 10.
It's just moved up there.
So yeah, Newcastle are going with Nick Foster again as opening the bowling. His off spin. Last week I thought it was a bit hit and miss, this method. He bowled quite poorly in the first game, but came on against St George and bowled a lot tighter. So obviously they're going to have to keep it tight again, because I know the first 6 overs are vital for Newcastle.
Little nick there. No one there backing up for the field. There's a chance for 2, but no, they don't take it. This outfield looks very, very bumpy, doesn't it? Could play havoc later on in the game.
Yeah, well, it could, yeah. And just getting back to Nick Foster, I think a lot of spinners, when they play 2020, they tend to push the ball through a lot more. And that's one thing he has to do. He can't afford to drop short here. If he drops short, he could be over the fence.
Just dropping it down off his pads there to the leg side. Be interesting to see how Duplessis goes. I mean, I'm speaking to the University of New South Wales guys early on, and they think he's a goer, but there's an appeal there. Yeah, not out. I don't think he got bat to ball there.
No, I think he totally missed that one, but that could have been a little bit too high there, I think. It's a bit hard to kind of tell from where we are, but yeah, it was a good shout from Newcastle. They certainly thought that may have been out.
Just pushes that one down the ground. He looks pretty controlled, Duplessis, doesn't he? At the moment, he's not trying to score too quickly. Just getting that run rate ticking over. Yeah,
well, I think in 2020 you've got to be like that. You've got to look for the gaps. Find where the runs are, because realistically the runs are out there. You just got to find the gaps.
Just pushes it down in the same spot. His batting partner there in Walcombe, and they'll take the easy single.
In this over so far, not too bad. He's bowling quite a good line here. So, I mean, if they can just cut the singles out and obviously the boundaries and try and tighten it up, should be a good over.
Oh, he's met that one on the full there, and he's hit it over to the boundary for 4 there. Not quite timing it well, but just going for it, which is what we like to see in 2020, Josh.
Yeah, disappointing finish the over for Nick Foster. He bowled quite tightly and very well the whole over, but yeah, full toss outside off stump. Geez, even I was a very stodgy batsman. Even my eyes would have lit up with a full toss outside off.
Yeah. He'd be disappointed with that. I always think that the sixth ball of the over when you're playing 2020 is always important. So it was a good over up till then. But as he walked away, took his hat, he certainly would be extremely disappointed with the end there.
This is an interesting move here now from Mark Littlewood. He's brought on the young left-arm orthodox spinner Jaden Park from the Cardiff Boolaroo Club. Of course, he didn't play in both games last week. He was the 13th man, but he's got the opportunity today, and big chance for the young fella. He's only 17 years old, but he's got huge raps on him. He's already in the New South Wales under-18 side, and he's quite highly thought of by people in Sydney.
And how old is he, did you say?
17.
So he's in the big smoke today, and of course this competition, the Kingsgrove Cup, is one where all eyes are watching. There's opportunities to win state contracts and 2020 contracts. There's a couple of this University of New South Wales side that are playing in the Futures Cup next week in Connolly and Dawson for the Canberra side. So definitely a good stepping stone, this competition for the young guys coming through. The score here is 0 for 17. As he goes for the sweep shot.
Yeah, good start. For a 17-year-old, that's a couple of good balls actually. He just needs to keep his rhythm going here and try and keep it as tight as he possibly can.
Yeah, bowling finger spin, I think it's exactly the same as bowling and also in 50-over cricket as a spinner. You really just need to keep changing your lengths, changing your speed, give a couple of flatter ones, quicker ones, a couple of slower ones. I mean, don't let the batsman settle at all.
Yeah, I'd like to see him toss him up and the batter just light up, miss it, and a good stumping. That's a good spinner's wicket as he belts it over the head, but that outfield very slow and slowing that ball up. The Newcastle player will get to it.
Yeah, you won't mind that, Jaden Park. I mean, he tossed that one up a little bit and got the batsman to come out of his crease and loft him over. I mean, he got to the pitch of the ball well, but he'll like that. You want to see the batsman coming forward.
Yeah, Duplessis moves to 9. Walkham on 11 at the moment. Struck straight to the fielder that time.
Do we know if Duplessis is any relation to Faf Duplessis, the South African batsman?
I did ask around before. Apparently no relation, but by the looks of it, maybe distant cousins. It's good fielding there by Newcastle and good running between the wickets by the University of New South Wales as well.
Yeah, good over too. You were talking about spin bowling, and spin bowling is about variety. So you've got to try as much variety as you can. Something a bit flatter, maybe something a little bit in the air a bit more. It all comes down to what you do with your overs when you're a spinner. You really got to think about it, and each ball is extremely important.
Yes, and if you are watching at home or of course in the pubs around Australia, we can be tweeted at Bar TV Sports or hashtag UniVNew if you want to get in touch with us for the live coverage as we come now into the 4th over.
Another bowling change too from
0 for 22. They certainly are varying this attack, aren't they, Josh?
Yeah, Mark Littlewood now coming on from, I think it's the northern end. I haven't got the compass on me right now, but I think that's right.
It is the northern end, or as I like to say, the campus end from the University of New South Wales.
I know talking to Mark Littlewood after the game last week and also to Mark Cameron during the week, the focus very much this weekend was all about the first 6 overs. They felt that that's where they lost both games last week with their bowling and their batting. So there was huge focus on getting that right, and so far today they're going quite well.
Oh, bit of a misfield there. Probably didn't deserve a run, that one. Bit sloppy in the field there, Newcastle. Probably need to pick that game up on the offside there.
Yeah, well, one thing about Mark Littlewood is he gets very close to the stumps. He's got a huge stride as well. So he's one of these bowlers that when he gets close to the stumps, he's got a real good chance of getting LBW.
Yeah, straight up and down, and that's good fielding there by the Newcastle side. I thought that might have got through the gap there, but batted down well.
Timing the ball very nicely though. These two University batsmen so far. I mean, he just lent on that one and it's rocketed off the bat. So both looking good touch.
When do you think the Newcastle side, if they don't get a wicket, will start panicking and think, we've got to get a wicket, we've got to get a wicket? You mentioned before early on, obviously, is where it goes. The ball goes up in the air, comes down safely. When do you think's a good time?
I suppose any time's a good time to get a wicket. But the thing about it is that you may not get too many wickets, but it's as I keep saying, it's all about keeping the run rate down as much as you possibly can. And for Newcastle, after they unfortunately lost this morning's game, the quotient is going to become very important for them. So a win here today doesn't necessarily mean they move on. So it's extremely important just to keep, as I keep saying, just keep that bowling nice and tight.
And do you think batting second is worse for the quotient, or will it be better?
Just watch this run. They've made a run there. Oh, look, I got this thing about chasing runs. At least you know what sort of target you're going to chase. So, and then you can work out how many runs you need per over. So I think when you're batting first, trying to set a target, obviously you've got a target in mind. But if you don't reach that target, you might get a bit disappointed as well. So, look for Uni of New South Wales, they'd be looking at least 150.
Did he get bat to ball on that one? No, he's going to call buys for that.
No, it's a wide, actually.
That's a wide.
Is it? Did he call a wide there?
I thought it might have come off his shoulder.
Yeah. No, it mustn't have been a wide.
Well, the score here now is a 0 for 29. Wakeham's on 14 and Duplessis is on 14 as well, sharing the score here, the two openers. They look pretty safe though. They look like they're in already, don't they?
Yeah, and I mean it's playing very well as well out there at the moment too. So once you get yourself set in this form of the game, you've really got to go on. So that's the thing. If you're still there after 6 overs, it's extremely important that at least one of you can bat for the remaining 14 overs. So I've seen it on countless occasions where a good start happens and then all of a sudden wickets start to tumble. So. Yeah, it's just extremely important that at least one of these guys tries to bat through the whole 20 overs if they can.
So,
what do you think? We're going to try anything new this over the Newcastle side? Just a couple of different field placements here by the looks of it. That one batted down straight to the fielder.
Interesting for the fifth straight over, they've changed the bowls around too, with Nick Foster now coming from the southern end. Maybe it's a tactic to try and not let the uni batsmen settle by constantly changing the bowls.
I'll tell you what, they're starting to look pretty settled to me, Josh. That's a big backswing there.
Yeah, they haven't taken any real risk yet, have they? I mean, they've basically just waited for that one bad ball every over that Newcastle's has been dishing up, and they've capitalised when that delivery's come. The rest of the time, they've pretty much just been content to look for singles or twos.
Quick little single there. First runs of this over. They seem to be turning them over quite well, though.
Yeah, I mean, they are running well between wickets and just getting back to the variety in the bowling attack. I mean, as captain, you've got to do that sort of stuff. You've got to try and, change the rhythm, change the tempo of the game. And that's what Mark Littlewood's trying to do here. He's just, obviously swapped ends with Nick Foster, and he's just trying something different. And look, you only got 20 overs, so you've got to try, things differently all the time throughout the stages of the innings.
Yeah, they've just brought a man in from the boundary on the southern end and made a couple of changes there, trying to set him up here. Oh, good chance gone missing there, and that's gone all the way to the boundary for 4. That's a cracking shot.
It certainly was, and young Bailey McGill out there, he certainly had a crack at that, but it was well hit and went straight through his fingers. I think he might have got something on that.
I think he got some fingers on that one there, Pete, but probably should have taken that. That's a chance gone missing for mine.
Yeah, no, it was a tough chance, but you've just got to take those chances when they come along. So, but as I keep saying, now that the batsman that was on strike there, he got a bit of a let off there. So it's now more important for him to try and remain and bat out the 20 overs.
And he's gone for that one as well, over the head as they come around, and he's dropped that one. That was a bit harder, that chance. Probably should have made it though, Josh. You've got to make them count.
Well, at the moment with no wickets and Uni off to a solid start at number 36, you've got to start taking those chances. But again, pretty tough catch, and it's just out of the grasp by probably a mere metre or two But for Nick Foster, he probably like that. They're starting to hit him in the air, so there might be another chance about to arise.
Yes, and he's hooked that one off his legs, and that'll go into the boundary as well. This is a good over here for the University of New South Wales. They're starting to open up a bit now.
Yeah, and that one there probably just down a little bit down leg side. So again, we talk about the sixth ball of the over, which I just think that's probably the most important ball of the over, including ball number one. So probably walks away again, takes his hat and thinks, gee, I bowled not a bad over up until that particular delivery. So it just shows how important it is that you've got to keep your line and your length. So.
Yeah, the score now none for 40 off 5 overs, so it's not a bad run rate here by the University of New South Wales. The Bumblebees getting on with it.
Yeah, Nick Foster would be disappointed with that because you only have 2 wickets in 2 balls, which go begging, and then you get you bowl one down leg side and you get hoiked away for 4 down square legs. So, but he's got to bounce back from that, and I think really this over now with Mark Cameron warming up to bowl his second over the game, Newcastle really need to start taking some wickets, and as their player coach and their spearhead and former Sheffield Shield player, I think Mark Cameron's got to be the man now.
As he comes in. And that's up in the air, that one, but that's going to probably go all the way to the boundary as the fielder comes around. No, he cuts it off. Mark dries.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed so far, the uni guys are hitting the ball up in the air a lot, so they are giving the Newcastle team a bit of a chance here. And as we know, there's been probably at least one chance. The other one that kind of went away from the fielders, but they just got to keep persevering here. And one of these balls that go up in the air that might go to a fielder.
He's met that one on the full there, and that's a nice cracking drive there. All the way to the boundary. That's another 4 there for the University of New South Wales.
He must have a strong bat there because it looked like he snookered the ball, actually hitting it right down the bottom of the blade, but it still rocketed off and gone down to the mid-on boundary. That's disappointing there from Mark Cameron. He just over-pitched and he was dispensed with.
Yeah, it looked like a quicker one as well, so that probably helped the momentum of the ball off the bat too.
Oh, he's put that one in a bit shorter, and he's beat the fielder there, the University of New South Wales player. Walkham, he's streaking ahead now. This is a good over for the University of New South Wales.
Yeah, it is. That wasn't such a great ball there from Mark Cameron. He'd be disappointed with that. I think just getting back to the line of length, he was bowling a bit earlier on, but with the pace of Mark Cameron in these games, sometimes if you can get a bit of bat on it, it can race away. So I think it's just pitch it up and try and get some wickets here.
Yeah, up in the block hole's the spot to get it in this 2020 format, as we see all around the world.
See, that was much better ball there. It was actually pitched up a little bit, and I mean, a single's better than a 4 in anyone's book. So. That wasn't a bad delivery, that one, actually.
Really needing a wicket here, though, at the Village Green, the Newcastle Steel side. How do you think they're going to go about it? They need to do something different, maybe.
Well, it's hard to say because, Mark Cameron's really their go-to man for wickets, and I think that's probably why he went for those 2 boundaries. He was probably over trying a little bit too hard and to find that wicket ball, and maybe he has to build a bit of pressure and bring down the run rate and make the Bumblebees really make some errors and bring about their own demise.
Let's see where he gets it this time. Oh, that's another shorter ball there. Good fielding by the Newcastle Steel side, stopping them from getting any more than a single there.
Yeah, and just talking about the bowling attack, I know for one thing's for sure they'll be missing Sam Webber. Of course, Sam had a big weekend last weekend, scored some runs. They'll miss his bowling and also his batting today. So so that's certainly going to make a bit of a difference here as well here this afternoon.
Oh, he's driven that one back. That's a cracking shot there by the opening batsman Walkham.
Well, that has to be shot of the game so far. That was a marvellous stroke. Just was pitched in the slot, but he met it with a full face of the bat and put it through the mid-off gap, and sensational shot.
Yeah, I think the way that the Uni are batting at the moment, I think Newcastle should be watching how this is all unfolding here, because it's going to be important for them as well to probably play fairly similar when they have their chance to bat this afternoon. So they need to be watching as well, and also just watching the outfield. As you say, it's a little bit slow in some respects. So
as we go to the Bar TV replay here, let's just have a look at Mark Cameron. Nothing too much wrong with the ball there. That was just a really great shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a cracking shot. It was really a great shot there, and absolutely went to the boundary fairly quickly. So but as I said before, you got to take note of what the opposition are up to, and I think Newcastle need to be batting fairly similar when they get their chance later.
Yeah, score here, none for 56 at the University of New South Wales, home ground at the Village Green. I tell you what, it's a nice atmosphere, isn't it? The picket fence,
yeah,
the trees. It's proper cricket, isn't it?
It is, and it's a beautiful day here as well to make it even better. So, and at number 56, the Uni team will be certainly looking at least 150 plus now. So it's going to be interesting to see if Newcastle can climb their way back into this game. We've seen it on some occasions in T20 games. Teams get off to a really, really good start, but then they lose a few wickets. And as we know, wickets can slow things down as well.
Yeah, they're scoring at about 9 runs and over here, so it's not a bad run rate, that's for sure. And he just dabs that off his legs. He gets sent back there. That's good calling there by the batsman.
Of course, Merriweather's Pat Darwin now having a bowl. He's off breaks. He doesn't bowl a great deal anymore, but was predominantly an off-spin bowler back in these days when he was the under-19 Australian representative.
And he's found the gap there well, the number 3 in Duplessis. That'll get him to 27 runs. His partner there, his opening partner Walkham, is on 30 runs. And they look pretty confident at the moment.
Yeah, Pat Darwin, would classify himself as a good part-timer these days. He doesn't get a lot of overs back in Newcastle, so he bowled all right last weekend.
Oh, has he found the fielder there? As he comes over, the fence is that. Did he get hand to ball there?
Yeah, that was one of those ones. Not quite sure if it actually went over. It is 6.
Signal to 6. That's the first 6 of the game here in this 2020 match for the KINGSGROVE Cup, and they've been pretty self-contained, the batsmen, so far, haven't they?
Yeah, well, that was a good 6, so that's a nice shot as well.
I don't know about you guys, but I think this Newcastle side looks like they're a little bit tired, maybe from the road trip and the match before, of course, losing to the east side before this game. Both sides have played, obviously, before this match. But the Newcastle side just look a little bit lethargic.
Yeah, they may be a little bit lethargic, but, that game they played this morning might have taken a bit out of them. But at the end of the day, they know what they have to do here, and, I think it's just important that they just, concentrate and just try and keep the run rate down as much as they can, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, that's a nice shot there, but finding the fielder.
I just think these two university openers, Duplessis and Walkham, have really just come out with a really good game plan. They haven't really taken too many risks. They've just waited for that bad ball, and the rest of the time they just played good cricket shots and kept the run rate ticking over with singles and twos. And unfortunately for Newcastle supporters, they've obliged every over with probably a 4 or 6 ball.
We're going to have a look at the replay here of the 6 to see if he did actually get his hand to the ball. He's honest in his approach, and he said that he didn't as it comes around, and no, he was way off that one, actually.
No, that went well and truly away from him there over the fence. It was a bit hard even for the umpires to actually work out there if that one went over, but clearly by that replay, it would have been a good catch if he caught that one, but I think, it was just a little bit too good for the fieldsman, unfortunately, for Newcastle.
And here we are with another bowling change. Looks like everyone's getting a bowl today, Josh.
Well, it might be the case. Well, I suppose they're still just searching for that first wicket, and now they've turned to Joseph Price from Toronto Workers.
Good old Toronto, eh?
Very good cricketer, Joseph Price. He's played a lot of great innings for Newcastle at rep level, and last year he won him a game at home, basically with the bat and ball, and also earlier this season in the Challenge Cup against Northern Districts. He was also the star in that game too. So a very underrated cricketer, and doesn't bowl that quick these days, but still a quality bowler.
He's got hold of that one, but we've got a fielder out on the boundary here on the leg side as he rips that one back into the wicket keeper.
Yeah, one thing about the Newcastle side, there's a few first-grade captains in this team as well. So there's plenty of experience there in this side. And as Josh said, this bloke Joey Price he's a good cricketer, and he's bowling. He bowls extremely tight as well. And he's out. He's got him.
He's got him. Yes, that's the first wicket of the match. Score now 1 for 69. Here at the Village Green at the University of New South Wales. And David Dawson coming into bat. Of course, Dawson is one of these guys that's in this futures side for Canberra playing next week. That's a pretty good first opening partnership there for the University of New South Wales side.
Yeah,
as
excellent.
Duplessis comes to the fence.
Yep, excellent partnership there, and now it's up to the Newcastle Steel to try and get a couple of quick wickets. And if they can do that, they may slow this run rate down a little bit as well. So, but it was a pretty good ball, that one. And as I said, Joey Price is pretty, he's pretty tight with his bowling.
As we go now for the Bar TV replay, he just lumbers in, doesn't he? And he's, swing and a miss.
Yeah, pretty
Easy
much.
as they come.
Yeah, there was a bit of a swing and a miss there, but it was just a good ball. So he just needs to sort of keep that line of length if he can for the remainder of the over.
As casual as they come, Joe Price.
Can we also I'll just give a quick plug to KINGSGROVE Sports. They do some fantastic work for cricket, both obviously in Sydney and in Newcastle as well. I know the two guys up in Newcastle do a lot of good stuff for Newcastle cricket. Jody Whitehead and Jason Borrow up there. So we really appreciate their wonderful support again this season.
Yes, and if you want to tweet us here, this live coverage, go to @BarTV Sports, #UniverseNew to get in contact with us here for the coverage. If you're sitting at home, been to the beach with your esky and your smart TV and your smartphone, this is the only way to watch sports these days.
Yeah, it's tremendous. That's a nice picture to put in people's minds, that's for sure.
Well, that's another good ball there by Price.
We don't even have to leave the beach. You could be on the beach right now with your phone or your iPad or wherever you got, watching away, watching as the waves roll in on Merriweather Beach.
This has been a good over so far, and this is the sort of thing that Newcastle needs at least for the next 4 or 5 overs, just to keep it nice and tight.
Yeah, score here, 1 for 69.
Well, I think the important thing with taking wickets, it brings down the run rate because you've got a new batsman. He has to get set, get used to the conditions, used to the pace of the pitch. And so if Newcastle can keep the wickets coming steadily, they'll bring this run rate right down and give them a good chance of restricting the University of New South Wales to a gettable total.
Yeah, I've also noticed Mark Littlewood's swapped ends as well, so he's coming back into the attack. So after that good over from Joe Price, as a bowler, you'd be looking at trying to tighten the bowling up for another over. So if you can get 2 or 3 overs that are fairly tight, it kind of puts the pressure back onto the opposition.
Yes, and this Littlewood's second over in this 2020 match. Score here, 1 for 69, 8 overs gone. Batters in now is Walkham and Dawson. Walkham, of course, the opening batsman, and that's hit straight to the fielder there.
Yeah, he tends to like that shot, doesn't he? I've noticed a few times he's played that shot. He strikes the ball very, very cleanly. So, they're going to have to watch it here in cover and at a point here. And particularly, a deep cover there as well. So the ball could be coming their way very shortly.
He just pushes that one down the ground, and they'll just get a single for that effort. Where do you think the best scoring opportunities are going to be coming for this University of New South Wales side later in the match, Josh?
Well, as Pete just said, I think Walkham's shown he's very much an offside player. He's very strong to the covers and straight down the ground. So I think Newcastle, the way they've shown, they're going to bowl nice and tight. So maybe, if you can hook a few over the top of cover or maybe down sort of mid-wicket, I think that's the go at the moment for Walcombe.
Oh, slower ball there by Littlewood, I think. Nearly caught him out.
Yeah, it's one thing we haven't seen too much of so far today. Has been changing the pace, little off cutters or leg cutters. I know last week Newcastle did quite a lot of that and had a lot of success as well. So that might be something that Littlewood and co to focus on more as this game progresses.
The hum of those Qantas Jets is good too, isn't it? Oh, he meets that one on the full there.
Yeah, just on the fielding, Newcastle currently got a 5-4 field, so 5 on the offside, 4 on the onside. So, yeah, it's pretty important for the bowlers to keep it, pretty tight on the offside here. Otherwise, they stray on the leg side there, and there's a little bit of territory out there mid wicket over Joseph Price there. So they're going to have to be, pretty tight on this offside.
Oh, didn't time that one too well, and just
bowled,
fumbled in the
bowled
field.
again from Littlewood.
Yeah, good bowling there. This is a lot tighter than what we saw in the opening overs from Littlewood.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show that 1 wicket, and as Josh was saying, it can slow the run rate down a little bit. And, these next 4 or 5 overs for Newcastle Steel are extremely important. They have a little bit of a target in mind as Mark comes back in.
Could be trouble. Just off target there with his throw, the fielder. Young Bailey McGill.
Yeah, he's one of the up-and-coming rising stars of Newcastle cricket at a young age, and he's showing a lot of promise. And I'm certainly looking forward to watching Bailey's growth over the next few seasons. He certainly has a big future ahead of him, no doubt about that.
Joe Price retaining the ball. I think this is for the first time in the match that a bowler has bowled 2 consecutive overs.
Yes, that would be right, yeah.
He gets his back bending. No, he doesn't come in too quickly, does he? But he certainly bends that back to get the ball down the pitch.
Yeah, no, he's got a fairly casual sort of style, Joey, but it's very effective though. He just sort of meanders in, I guess you could say, and yeah.
Well, that's hit very cleanly, but of course the fielder's out now, outside the circle, so scoring will dry up a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing he is doing properly is he's just putting it in that right area, as the players will say. You got to bowl good areas, and I think at the moment, Joey's bowling good areas.
We jinxed him there, I think, Pete, and the ball trickles down the boundary, and that's good chasing there and good fielding by the Newcastle player out on the boundary. They will get 3 runs though.
Well, that's commentators' jobs to jinx the players. That's what they do. I mean, if you listen to other commentators, they do say something and then something totally different happens. So I'm probably not the first person to jinx somebody.
Well, let's just hope he bowls another short ball and he hits it for 4 then. Oh, didn't unjinx him as the ball comes outside the circle. Another fumble. I tell you what, the Newcastle players are a little bit sloppy in the field today. Not like them. They're normally quite very efficient.
They were very good last week at Hurstville Oval, but to be fair, Hurstville Oval was an absolute carpet compared to the Village Green today. So, yeah, it isn't the easiest of grounds to field on because, as we said, it's very patchy and very sandy underfoot.
Do you think some clever university student named it the Village Green? That's a nice little dab down to the boundary.
Yeah, just very intelligent batting there. I mean, didn't have to do much, just use the pace of Joey Price's delivery. And as I suppose we've been saying before, you just aren't. He's been very smart batting that just haven't really taken too many chances. They're really just playing smartly, waiting for the bad ball, and it's paying dividends.
Oh, he's flicked that off the pads and didn't ever look like missing the boundary, that one. The outfield's not going to stop a shot like that, and that's a pretty poor delivery there.
And would you believe it was ball number 6? That's happened a few times today. Yeah, that was ranked full toss on leg side and whipped away. Honestly, that ball deserved every bit of that. That was a great shot, and Disappointment there at the end of that over. He bowled quite tightly in the first over. Second over, first 2 or 3 deliveries are okay, but just the second part of that over, it probably kind of let himself down a bit there. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to go through the stats of 2020 games. Ball number 6, how many fours are scored off that last ball?
Yes, definitely. And the score here is 1 for 89 for Bar TV, the home of grassroots sports in Australia and around the world. As we come in for the first ball of the 11th over. And that's good running between the wickets there by the University of New South Wales side, pushing the fielders.
And I must say, just a quick one for Bar TV, it's a great initiative, this one. It gives people an opportunity to watch these games in their living rooms and wherever they are. Like Josh said, you could be on the beach watching this if you really wanted to. So it's a really great initiative that Bar TV have come up with here.
Of course, Tech Startup of the Year, the boys from Bar TV, winning awards everywhere around the world.
Heard that was because of your rugby commentary too. They got him over the line.
I would imagine so, Josh. As they come in now for the third ball of the over. Flicked off his pad there.
Yeah, maybe talking about the rugby from last night's result with the Wallabies and the All Blacks is probably not such a great idea. I remember switching on, it was 25 points to 15, and I thought, here we go, we've got this. And then I switched back on and it was all over, and they were doing an interview with Israel Folau, and they said, bad luck, mate. And I thought, isn't it typical? It was a heartbreaking loss last night.
Yeah, well, apparently Ewan McKenzie resigned because he didn't want to explain Nick White's role in the Australian Wallabies team.
Yeah. Anyway, that wasn't such a great delivery there from Mark Littlewood. That was another full toss on leg stump there, and whipped away for 4 runs. So,
yeah, they're going to have to tighten this up a bit, the Newcastle side. It's now 1 for 97 here at the Village Green.
And that was really good batting as well. He didn't try and hit that too hard.
As we have a look at the ground, it's, as you can see, it is a bit of a dust bowl here and just pushed straight back down the ground. Littlewood calling for the ball. They just get the single there on that occasion.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with 2020 cricket, it's not just about hitting the ball hard. It's about finding the gaps. And there's the ground, as you can see. She's pretty patchy. They call it the Village Green, but as we keep saying, there's certainly no patches of green in some parts of the ground.
Oh, just drops it off his hip there and cheeky little single. And the Newcastle guys, it's now 1 for 99.
Yeah, bowling wise, certainly Newcastle's performance today has been a drop on last week. Last week I thought they were pretty solid in both games. They didn't bowl too many bad balls. It wasn't too much loose stuff. But yeah, today I think nearly every bowler has bowled something loose, especially later in the over, which is really undoing a lot of their earlier good work. But going to be an important next 9 overs. I mean, they really need some wickets to rein in this uni side, because at the moment it's looking like they might post something like 180 plus.
Yeah, it's definitely on track for that at the moment. Over halfway through the match gone.
Yeah, I think 180 is going to be a bit of a mountain to climb, to be honest with you. So that's pretty important that they try and stem the run flow here. If they're facing 180, they're going to have to come out with all guns blazing in that first 6 overs. I reckon if they're chasing that 180, they've got to have at least 8 or 9 runs per over. They've got to be at least 60, I reckon, after about the first 6 overs to even get that 180. So. Yeah, so well, hopefully, for the Newcastle supporters out there, for the sake of their team, they'll try and restrict them below that 180.
Yeah, I'd like to see them put a bit more pressure on these guys. I know that they can have the fielders outside the circle, but they've got to start making them play some shots, I think, because they're just pushing it around a little bit too easy. Your thoughts on that one, Josh? As he dances down the pitch.
Well, yeah, I think uni batsmen, they really haven't had to take many chances. Like they've basically, as you said, they've picked up these plenty of singles and twos, and they just waited for that bad ball. And Newcastle bowlers have all obliged. I mean, there's been a lot of full tosses and short stuff wide of the stump, so they're just sitting and backing and waiting for that bad ball.
And again, finds the gap pretty nicely there.
So I think if the bowlers can start cutting out those loose deliveries every over, it's going to force the Uni batsmen to really start taking some chances, and potentially when those chances are taken, they might also throw their wickets away with some rash shots. So just all that building pressure.
Yeah, I think it's important. You look at the field here at the moment. It's again another pretty stacked offside field here. Anything on the legs here, there's singles everywhere. So Nick Foster's job here is to try and bowl it as much on the offside as he can.
He's whacked down the field there, and that'll bring up his 50 there. Welcome. It's been a very, very good, very controlled innings as he points to the crowd.
Yeah, the sort of innings you need from someone who's batting at the top of the order, and the way he's going, he could go right through the whole 20 overs, just what Uni of New South Wales needs.
And again, picks the same spot. His partner there in Dawson picked up well there by young Bailey McGill.
I mean, we are saying that probably Newcastle's bowling hasn't been as good in this game as it was last weekend, but we're also got to give the batsmen a bit of credit as well. Some of the batting has been quite good as well.
Rocks back on the back foot there and finds exactly the same spot, and McGill will field that one again.
Yeah, it's just been intelligent batting, I think, from Walken. He's really he's just picked the bad balls, and the rest of the time, he's just bunted it down the ground for twos, ones. He's really picked the gaps well. And I haven't really seen him mishit anything. He's really it's been a quality innings of T20 batting.
Okay, so Mark Littlewood looks like he's coming back on to bowl another over here. So I guess as he's walking back there, having a chat, probably thinking, well, okay, what do we need to do here? Interesting, the field placings, another probably offside field here. So just needs to keep it up in the right areas, up in the spot.
Yeah, definitely need to start bowling up and trying to get into that sort of Yorker zone, I think, if they're going to be any chance of stemming that run rate. That's a cracking shot there down the ground. That'll be 4 runs all day. He just picked that one. Didn't even take much of a back swing, but saw it coming and whooshka.
No, that was all just forearm strength. He just sort of bunted it down the ground. He's only quite a small man walking, but obviously very strong, and he just picked that up beautifully from Mark Littlewood. Wasn't really a bad ball, maybe it's slightly over-pitched and beautifully dispensed with.
Oh, same spot again. Didn't get quite enough on it that time as the outfield will slow the ball up there. As we hear the jets coming over this lovely village green, and adds to the atmosphere, I think.
Well, it certainly does. And just getting back to that shot, that 4 there, I mean, that's the sort of shots that I dream about at night that I would have loved to have played when I was playing cricket. So I just wasn't good enough, unfortunately, but it was a good shot.
You need to buy yourself an Xbox and play it online. Bit of stick cricket. That's how I used to get myself in, was just play stick cricket.
Yeah.
Before I went out and played for the mighty CNS Carrington Pirates.
Well, my cricket was so good, I've actually taken up umpiring. So I suppose that says a lot, really, doesn't it?
Says a lot about your personality, Pete. Tenacious. Just flick down the leg side there. Fielders will come around, and again, that outfield is... I think the outfield's actually helping the Newcastle side at the moment, because any other ground in this Sydney grade cricket comp would be 4 all day.
Yeah, and I think the uni guys, they're looking at getting a run off every ball if they can, which is, I mean, that's the way you play this game. You've got to try and get as many runs on the board as possible, obviously, but find the gaps. And the other thing too is, there's runs around, so it's just a matter of making sure the ball goes in the right areas.
Yeah, the score here, 1 for 115. University of New South Wales all over this. How can Newcastle combat this, Josh?
Well, I think they're basically going to have to chase 160 plus. I mean, that's pretty much a given now.
Oh,
So I think all at this stage, they've probably just got to take a few wickets, try and minimise the damage, and I suppose start thinking about how they're going to go about chasing it, because I think it's going to be a big total, but it's certainly doable, and there's plenty of quality batsmen in this Newcastle lineup. And I mean, university batsmen have shown this. It's a very true pitch out there. It's easy to score if you can get yourself in. So I don't see why the Newcastle batsmen can't do similar, especially with the likes of Mark Littlewood, Pat Darwin, Greg Hunt, all quality bats. So there's certainly plenty of cricket to be played in this game yet.
Yeah, and I think also if they're chasing 180, obviously the tactic when they come out for the first 6 overs, they've got to pretty much go for it from ball one. Because, I mean, what have they got to lose, really? If they lose the game, obviously they won't be progressing, but they've got to give themselves every chance. That's what they have to do to steal.
They need to get the runs quick as well, don't they?
Absolutely. So, they be thinking about that already, thinking about, okay, first 6 overs, we've really got to go for it from the very outset. And look, at the end of the day, if they lose all their wickets trying, at least they've had a go.
Yeah, well, 13 overs gone now at the Village Green. Do you think the game's going to absolutely open up? They have got a lot of wickets in hand, this University of New South Wales side. I think they can start taking a few risks now. We might see a few more fours and maybe a couple more sixes.
Yeah, certainly. As you said, you've got nothing to lose, so they're certainly going to open up. We'll see young left-arm spinner Jaden Park has come on for his second over. He's changed ends now, coming from the campus end, the northern end of the field.
And do you think this pitch is going to be a little bit harder to bat on in the second innings?
Oh,
It has already had a game on it today.
Yeah, it may be, but I don't think it'll be that difficult. It's just going to be how they bat when they come out to obviously face the uni bowlers. So I mean the pitch may play some part, but it's just going to be up to the Newcastle batters to do their very best.
And again, still pushing the singles around this University of New South Wales side. Very impressive.
Bowling well here though, Park. I think the first over he bowled a lot flatter and bowled a lot more darts, but this time he's trying to give the ball a bit more air.
Yes, I love a good spinner that tosses it up. Good attacking cricket here.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact about uni, what tactics they're going to use now. Obviously, with a lot of batters in the shed, they'll start to hit the go button here shortly, I think.
Comes down and meets that one.
Yeah, well
Could be
bowled by
trouble.
Park that time.
Good bowling and fielding there. He's been pretty impressive, and he's bowled a couple of good overs there.
Well, I think change the length a little bit there. He made the batsman come forward and was well played in the end, but also was well flighted. And he's very tall too for a young spinner, so I suppose that helps him. He's able to give the ball plenty of air, and first time I've ever seen him bowl live, but quite impressed by young Park.
Yeah, very encouraging signs for Newcastle cricket when you've got youngsters like Jaden doing that sort of stuff. So a big future for him, and as I said earlier on, Barty McGill as well, and there's other players in the fringe that are outside the Newcastle team at the moment. Some of the younger guys. So basically the future's looking bright for Newcastle cricket at this stage.
And as we said at the start of the broadcast, it's a really good opportunity too for young cricketers to come down to Sydney and get in front of some of these guys that have the grade clubs and have the 2020 competitions. It's definitely a good pathway for some of these younger players.
Oh, for sure. Look, this is a great concept for Newcastle. Of course, Illawarra are also in the competition as well. And as you say, it gives players from the Newcastle area an opportunity to come down and play on grounds like this, play against good opposition as well. So
maybe not grounds like this, Peter.
Oh well, basically different grounds, different scenarios, and also an opportunity to play against different players too.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of history here at the University of New South Wales too. A couple of Australian reps.
Yeah, Michael Slater's one of them.
Jeff Lawson's another.
Jeff Lawson, yeah, Henry Lawson they used to call him. He was a good bowler, and certainly Michael Slater, he was fantastic as well.
And Dan Christian's another one. Let's not forget about Dan the man as the ball comes in.
I don't think he was here studying Freud.
He probably was practicing Freud.
Yeah, I can imagine him enjoying the uni lifestyle.
Oh, that's a good little shot down there. No one at home there at third man is coming around to get the ball in. Oh, it's a shocking throw though.
Oh yeah, I mean it was one of those throws that you just needed to get it back in. It wasn't as if they were running or anything like that. So it was just make sure the wicketkeeper took that nicely.
Oh, he hasn't got the best on that, and it's beaten the fielder. Bit of work there for young Bailey McGill. He's been all over the shop, hasn't he, today in the field? He's been the everywhere man.
Yeah,
Seems to be getting everything.
Well, they're keeping him busy, that's for sure. But it's great experience. Great experience for him, and this is an experience he'll never forget. So, it all bodes well for him in the future.
Yes, the young apprentice, certainly very busy here today. That's good, getting the young bloke to do all the hard work, isn't it? Well,
yeah, well, I think that's what the older blokes do, don't they? They like the younger blokes coming into their teams, and they put them on the boundary most of the times, boundary runners.
Surprised he hasn't had a bowl actually today, Bailey McGill. He bowled quite well last week. I think he finished with a couple of wickets in the game against Gordon, but he bowled 4 overs in each of the games, but he hasn't been used yet today. So. Maybe a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, and the other bowler, of course, they have up their sleeve, Mark Dries. I don't think Dries he's had an over yet. So, with how many overs we've got left
15
now?
15 wickets gone.
So we've got 5 overs left. Is that right?
Yeah, we've had 15 bowled here, so it's 1 for 127.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he gets a bowl today.
And Jaden Parks having another bowl here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, as we keep talking about the younger players, it's also important to give them, a fair amount of time bowling and give them good experience as well. And, he'll take a lot out of this particular experience in this weekend.
And I guess when they go back to their respective clubs, they come back better as players as well. And for the experience, do you think?
Oh, look, absolutely. And I guess that happens in every sport as well. You play that extra level up, and then you go back to you're playing great cricket, either it be in Sydney or in Newcastle. But it'll do him the world of good.
Attempted reverse sweep, just gets bat on it there. First little trick shot of the game. They're one of these new 2020 shots. Now this game might start to open up, I feel.
You might see a few ramps and reverse pulls and cuts, whatever.
Oh, he's gone for that one. Just missing it completely, though, I think. It's going to maybe go to the boundary there. No. Newcastle player never stayed die, but that's good running there between the wickets.
Yeah, no, I think he got something on that. Just a little outside edge on that one.
Will we take that as a chance then?
Oh, I don't know if it was a chance. There was a tough chance if it was.
He might have to put $1 into the kitty jar on the way home. Oh, he's met that one. Fielder in place, though.
Looked like you saw him coming there, Jaden Park, and he sort of jammed that one in a little bit.
Bailey McGill fielding that one again. For mine, he's been the player of the game so far. He's everywhere.
Well, he's only 17. He's got young legs. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Oh, that's a good shot there, but again, well placed, the field.
Yeah, I've always had this thing in cricket where sometimes the ball just chases you around all day, and I think today with Bailey, it's just done that. It's just chased him around all day, and for the remaining overs here, he just needs to keep himself concentrating here because one could come his way.
He's hit that along the ground there. Back again to Mark Dries.
Again, this has been a pretty good over by young Park. I think obviously the uni batsmen are really starting to want to lift the run rate here and play a few more aggressive shots, but he really detained them quite well that over with some good changes of pace and good changes of line. So good performance.
Yeah, it's definitely the run rate has slowed down here at the Village Green at the University of New South Wales. It's 1 for 135. We look like we're going to get about 200 there at one stage, but 16 overs gone now into the 17th.
Yeah, no, a couple of overs there that there weren't many runs scored off. So, and as we keep saying, it's when it comes down to the later overs of the 2020s, they're also the most important as well. The first 6 always extremely important, but certainly the last 5 overs, yeah, they're, as in my belief, as important as the first 6.
And here we are with another change at the southern end.
Yeah, I think it's Pat Darwin back on. Looks as though he's come back on. Another slow bowler, obviously, just trying to mix it up a little bit. Yeah, so he just needs to try and do what the other guys have been doing in the last few overs, just restrict the run rate as much as he possibly can, if he can.
And this breeze has picked up a lot. I think it's actually swung around as well. Do you think this might affect the batters? And he tries another one of those trick reverse sweeps again. Comes off, hits the top edge. And again, Bailey McGill. He is a magnet.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's just the way it is sometimes. As I said before, it's the ball just follows you everywhere, and we've still got a few overs to go yet. I'm sure we'll get more work.
Oh, and that's a chance. It's a hard chance, but just goes over his head and goes over the boundary, and that's another 4. We haven't seen too many 4s this game.
Yeah, that was, I guess, a chance, but the ball's going pretty quickly. I know that from my experience standing as an umpire there, sometimes the ball does come quicker than what you expect, and you've got to be on your guard.
Have you ever put the hand out?
No, I haven't actually. I remember when I first started. Yeah, it was a bit hard not to put the hand out, but no, definitely not. I don't even think about that sort of stuff anymore.
The field seems awfully quiet here for Newcastle, though, and that's good fielding there. Not too chirpy here today, which is not like a Newcastle team of old, known for their sledging. As the ball comes up and fielded well in the outfield there.
Oh, look, I don't think I've ever known any Newcastle team to sledge. You know, they don't sledge them, do they? Or
it's not in our nature, is it up there?
No.
Probably need a few more university players in their team. I mean, Newcastle University I'm referring to there.
Well, that's another good shot there. But probably won't find the boundary.
Well, all I can say, Josh, is you said that and I didn't, so we'll just leave that one there.
Come on, I know what all the umpires talk about.
Just good times. And that's another over here at the Village Green. I just can't stop saying the Village Green. It just makes me really happy to say it. And
it's a nice name for a ground. You know, you get these generic names named after whatever suburb, and then the oval. But yeah, nice Village Green. It sort of conjures up a nice English sort of atmosphere, doesn't it?
Okay, what we're going to do is we've got the replay of that shot with the half chance. Yeah, it was a hard one. The ball was struck fairly firmly. So we're just going to play the replay of that one for you in a second.
in a couple of balls, and that's swept down. Newcastle fielder coming around and meeting that and just cutting off the single again. It's been a game of singles, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what T20 is about too. Not just, hitting the balls to the boundary or over the boundary. It's also just working the ball around. And, you can score a lot of runs just by doing that.
Oh, he's chipped that, but no, doesn't come in and meet that one. That's maybe a little opportunity there gone missing.
No, I don't think I would have been coming in to try and catch that one. I think he made the right decision there, just to make sure that he got the ball and fielded it properly.
I would have jumped for that and done my AC. Oh, and that's a misfield. As the Newcastle team tidies that one up to the bowler's end.
Okay, here's the replay of that half chance in the last over. We're just trying to get that replay up.
And it's swept around. We'll get to that replay probably by dinner time tonight. As the ball cut off there with his foot down on the boundary. They will get a couple for that though. Score here 1 for 149.
Yeah, that was a nice shot. Again, just that down the leg side. Not a lot of protection down there, so yeah, he's just got to get it on off stump if he can. And I'm sure, you know, Mark Littlewood's come over to him and said, look, mate, you just got to get it on off stump. And we've got, you know, more fieldsmen on the off side than the on side at this particular stage. So, you know, just try and, you know, make sure you get your line and your length right here.
And Walkham here on 76. Do you think he'll get to the 100? He needs to start hitting them, and that's what I want to see coming in the last couple of overs. And he has. He's hit that, and is it over? Yes, it is. That's a 6 here at the Village Green. I tell you what, that's a good, cracking, straight hit there, straight drive.
Yeah, that was hit very well, and guess where the ball went? To Bailey McGill. That time, of course, it went straight over Bailey's head and over the fence. So that was a very clean hit, and that's what the university team need to do now. With you know, overs running out, they just need to you know, take their opportunities.
And he's gone for that one. Good running between the wickets there by the university side, and that'll be over again.
Yeah.
Score here 1 for 158.
See that last shot? That was just you know, a little you know, punch and run shot. Really, he just sort of punched it into where the fieldsman was, and there's always one there. So apart from the fact that you need the boundaries late on in your innings as well, the singles and the twos are extremely important too. Okay, we might have the replay this time around. There you go. Yeah.
It
was
was hit very hard, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's really hard when you're not out there to actually gauge on how fast that ball's travelling. And yeah, if he would have caught that, that would have been a magnificent catch.
And I tell you what, that white ball is quite hard to see, especially with the ground in the way it is. I mean, there's not many contrasting colours, so probably hard to pick up there.
Yeah, yeah. It's just the speed of the ball. It can be, you know, very deceiving sometimes. You think you've got it covered, and all of a sudden the ball's onto you in a flash, really, and you've got to make a decision pretty quickly.
Yes, as a former professional bat pad, I know how fast it can come at you. That was probably the only thing I did well in cricket, was field right next to the bat, just as cannon fodder. As Walkham's now on 82 runs, Dawson on 39. He's slowly moved to 39, hasn't he, sneakily? That's sort of crept up on us. He might get to 50 as well before this innings is over.
Yeah, no, they're both doing well. And as I said at the start of the innings, that one of the openers had to you know, try and bat through the full 20, and that's certainly happening at the moment. So Mark Cameron's back on here. And I think, you know, Mark would probably be disappointed with the first couple of overs that he bowled.
He went wickerless in the game before as well, so...
Yeah, no, you know, he'll be trying to, you know, try and tighten things up in these remaining overs to try and give Newcastle, you know, some sort of a smaller total than they're currently looking at. Looks like about 180 at least.
Yeah, so played well down the field there to Bailey McGill. Oh, and that's good running between the wickets there too by the University of New South Wales side. Just upping that run rate here. Probably going to, as you said, to aim for about 180.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's 162 now. You know, they've got plenty of balls in play here. So, yeah, they'd be looking at the 180 total now, I'd say.
I don't think they'll mind having Mark Cameron back in the attack either, the uni batsmen, because they seem to struggle a little bit more when the spinners are on. They took a little bit of the pace off the ball, but with Cameron back in the attack, they seem to be scoring freely again.
Yeah, using the pace of the ball well, and they'll go for the quick single here, and misses the stumps.
Yeah, if that hit, he was gone. There was no way in the world he would have got home there. Unfortunately, Mark Littlewood picked that up pretty quickly. Good piece of fielding, actually. He's quite good in the field, Mark. He picked it up real quick, got rid of it extremely fast as well, and unfortunately just missed the stumps.
Yes, and Cameron comes in again and just tries to flick it off his pad. They'll go for a run. And
okay, yeah, that's a wide.
It's a wide, and you've got to keep it tighter than that coming into the final few balls of the innings, or final few overs of the innings.
Yeah, I would have thought so. You know, you can't afford to be bowling wides at this time of the game. So, yeah, I think realistically, if Mark looks back on his bowling in this game in particular, yeah, he's probably not going to be all that happy about it, to be honest with you.
I'd hate to be facing him next week. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he might be a bit quick next week.
As he comes in and thuds into the wicket here. Oh, just blocks it out of the block hole.
Well, that one was certainly a bit quicker. He did bend the back a little bit that time, Scud. You wouldn't have liked that wide before. But yeah, I agree, Pete. He has certainly been down on his usual quality today. I know he'll be disappointed with that because he's put a lot of time and effort into trying to build up this Newcastle Steel side into what they are at the moment.
Oh, and he's found the middle of the bat there, but the fielder coming around, cutting off the 4 runs, and they throw to the bowler's end.
Walker's played that cross-bat shot really well all day. It doesn't really seem to be a wrist shot with him. He's just, he's really gets over the top of the ball, keeps along the ground well, and it's a real strength of his.
Yeah, he seems to really pick it up early, doesn't he, and just guide it down.
And in Mark Cameron's defence as well, I mean, he, in these games, the shorter form of the game, he tends to bowl within himself. So that was a good ball. That one was right up there. It was very hard to hit. So, but yeah, I think with someone like him, he's pretty quick. So in these games, he tends to not bowl at full pace all the time.
It wasn't a bad over though. It's 1 for 169 into the 20th over now. So last over here. Let's hope that these university guys try and open up and maybe get to the 180, 185.
Yeah, well, I think, when you've got so many batters in the shed, you've just got to, you've got to tempt a bit of fate here and try and, score as many runs as you possibly can, get a few boundaries. That's what you need to do. And if you lose your wicket, well, I mean, it is a dot ball, I guess, but you just got to, take the initiative here and try and get as many as you can in the last over. And I think to bowl the last over is Joe Price.
Yes, and the batsmen I've been really impressed by the pressure they put on the field, just plotting it around and really causing this Newcastle side to really hurry up in the field, and a couple of mistakes have crept in, but it is a chaseable target, 180 or 169 at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every target's chaseable. It's just the way that you go about your batting, and that's what Newcastle has to do. They have to come up with some sort of a plan now when they come out, and they need to have targets. That's what they need to do when you're chasing a big target, like say they're going to be here this afternoon. After the 5th over, this is where we want to be. After the 10th over, this is where we want to be, and that's what you need to do.
Well, he's hit that straight back over. McGill comes around for it. Cameron backing him up, and that's good fielding, good running as well there.
And we've got. He's got 11 runs to get to his 100, Walkham, with 5 balls to face. We backing him in?
I'm going to say yes. What about you, Pete? You're going to say yes, 100 runs for Walkham?
Oh, in this game, anything's possible, and he could make it.
It'll be a great effort if he does. Oh, and that's up in the air, that one, and it's coming down, and the fielders are coming around. It could be a mix-up, and he's made a hard catch, but he has made a meal of it.
Yeah, the worst part about those skied ones is you've got plenty of time to think about when they're coming down, and that was a hard catch actually. That would have been a really good catch if he took that one off.
It would have been. But anyway, moves to 91 there, and he's gone for that one as well. It could reach the fence, but Hogan coming around, and yes, he's taken that as easy as you come, but that's a great innings and a great knock there by Walkham, who gets 91 runs and pretty much bats the entirety of the innings. How do you see that bat?
No, it was fine. It was fantastic. Yeah, he played a very good T20 innings, and he was doing the right thing at the end there. He was trying to get to the boundaries, and that one just a little bit too short there, and a good catch from Mark Cameron there. So he deserves plenty of accolades for a extremely good innings there, and he did the right thing. As I said, he batted pretty much right through the whole innings, which he needed to do, and good on him. Congratulations on a good innings.
Yeah, it's a good catch in the outfield there by Cameron as Walkham raises the bat. This University of New South Wales crowd acknowledges the fine innings we just witnessed.
Yeah, fantastic innings. He's really put his side in the driver's seat in this match because 91 runs in a T20 cricket match. It's a fine effort.
Oh, paddles that one away. That's a good shot, isn't it?
Like,
and they look like they're running. Look like he's lapping him, but that's a 4.
Yeah, that was
in any case.
That was a good shot, but not so good bowling. He didn't have much protection around there, and that wasn't the ball that you want to bowl in that situation. So, you know, cricket's all about thinking and thinking about where you're going to bowl that next ball, and certainly, you know, when you look at the field placing there, anything, a paddle around that corner there, and it could go anywhere really.
Yes, we come in for another one. He's hit that one, but that's straight to dries there and fumbles around with it. A bit of a mix up there with the batsman, but has he got him? No, he's safe there. Well run there by the University of New South Wales side.
A little fumble there from Mark Dries when he picked it up. Probably cost them a run out there. If he got it in the first grab, they probably would have got it in and would have been run out. But they bought him at that little split second, I suppose, that the batsman needed to get back in their crease.
Dawson on 49 as well, facing the next ball. He's had a pretty good innings as well.
It's just been great batting from their top three. They've all batted very intelligently. That I don't think anyone's really taken any massive risks. It's just about playing good cricket shots. And
he's gone. That's come straight off the pad, and he's given him there. Yes, straight in front of the stumps. Hits the pads on the full, and that's unlucky for him on the last ball of the day.
Yeah, a third wicket there for Joey Price too.
Yeah, good bowling from Price. I was pretty impressed with him. And I guess who are your standouts for that first innings?
Oh yeah, look, you know, for Newcastle, obviously Joe Price. I think Jaden Park, he bowled extremely well as well for Newcastle too, and the opening batsman for 91 for the uni team. You know, when you score those sort of runs in the T20 format, you give your side a real chance of building a big innings. So now it's up to the Newcastle still to come out, and they need to really, you know, be all guns blazing from ball number one.
So I guess, can you explain to our viewers at home the quotient system?
You're asking me about the quotient
Yes,
system?
I am, because I was no good at maths.
Look, I'm not totally across the quotient system. It's one thing that I probably don't need to know. But it's like anything, you know, you play these competitions and you've got to keep that in mind too, your quotients in mind. You know, you have good quotients, and that could possibly get you across the line if you happen to drop a game or whatever. So, I'm not really up to date with the quotient system, but for Newcastle here, you know, they're going to have to score these runs, you know, within 15 overs probably.
As we go to the Bar TV replay now, we're going to have a look at the catch there by Cameron on the boundary. It was an absolute cracker and an absolute cracking innings there by Walkham as well, and he comes around, and that just shows his maturity, just shows his experience as well. Didn't look like fading under pressure, did he?
No, he's pretty cool customer, Mark Cameron, at the best of times, and I mean, he's a fairly experienced cricketer. He's he's played some pretty big games in his career, and it's just nice to have someone like that in the Newcastle scene who can help out the younger players in particular. And he's a very encouraging person as well, which you've got to have. You know, you've got to have these blokes that are happy to encourage the younger blokes coming through. So I think Newcastle are, you know, very happy to have him there, and you know, he's certainly a positive for the team, and no doubt he'll be a positive in the years to come.
Yes, definitely. And I think we're just going to take a bit of a break now here for the KINGSGROVE Cup, and you're live here with us for Bar TV. It is University of New South Wales versus the Newcastle Steel. The first inning score for University of New South Wales was 2 for 179. It was a really controlled innings, and let's see if the Newcastle side can come out and better this final target of 179 runs. So they'll need 180 to win, and we'll be back with you guys shortly. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back, everybody listening at home for Bar TV. We are here live today for the University of New South Wales versus the Newcastle Steel side in the Kensington Cup. We've got someone else joined us in the commentary box. It's Danny Bandari, the ex-president of this university side. Danny, who are we going to watch out for in this second innings of cricket?
Thanks for having me. We'll have Jake Turner opening the bowling, left arm quick. He'll take the first over, and then we've got Dan Morton, who's actually from Newcastle, and he'll also a left arm quick, and he'll be the other opening bowler.
Yes, of course, Dan Morton come down to Sydney to try his hand. Do you know a little bit about him, Peter?
Yeah, Morts we call him. He's a tremendous bloke, very quiet. As we watch the first ball, that would be a wide.
That's a wide, yes.
Yeah, no, he really is a very nice bloke who bowls some pretty good lines. So he'll be warming up here shortly, and standing 22 yards and watching him bowls, it's quite good stuff, and always look forward to seeing him bowl. Yeah.
Yes, and talk us through these opening batsmen here, Peter. Sorry, we've got Mark Dries up one end, of course, an experienced campaigner as they come into bowl.
Yeah, we'll just watch this ball. Yeah, no, Mark Dries, he's a player that he kind of works the ball around, and he can hit the ball pretty hard actually. He'll be looking at trying to get a good start here for the Newcastle Steel side.
Yes, and the opening bowler, of course, Danny mentioned him. I was told he was medium fast. You're saying he's flat out express?
Oh, he's pretty quick. He certainly lets them go. He's been a New South Wales Imparja Cup representative for a few years, and certainly one of the quickest bowlers we have, probably the quickest at our club. He hopefully let a few go today.
Yeah, some good feeling down on the boundary there by Burns it was. Little nick to get his eye in. That's how we all like to get our eye in, isn't it, Pete?
Yeah, well, that's what I used to do anyway. Used to be plenty of nicks coming off my bat, that's for sure. But and of course, at the strikers' end is Greg Hunt, currently on strike. Used to play a bit of great cricket here in Sydney as well. So he's got a bit of experience and a player that can get on with it too. So I think he needs to do that from pretty much the first over.
Yeah, he's a powerful hitter too, isn't he, Greg? He can certainly hit through the ball. So Newcastle need to get that run rate up if they're going to make this quotient system, I believe. So
yeah, absolutely.
Look to him to hit a few boundaries.
And this hasn't been a bad start actually from the Uni, opening bowler here. He's bowling pretty tight here, and just he's making Newcastle work for these runs. So he needs to finish off very strongly here.
So what goes into preparing a team here for the University of New South Wales? Danny, are you guys semi-professional? Few times a week or just a couple of times a week for this 2020 competition?
We have, I guess we're sort of semi-professional in a way. We've signed Corey Richards as coach, which has been fantastic. He's coached the Sydney Sixers in the Champions League and was an assistant coach at Bangladesh until this year. So I think we try to have the traditions of an amateur club but take a professional approach. Boys will train at least twice a week. A lot of them will do an extra 1 or 2 sessions, and they'll also do a little bit of T20 specific training. They'll do some fielding and some batting specific to the short form. So certainly a lot. We've had 2 losses and a win, so we may not be able to make the finals now. But there's something that Corey, being a very successful coach, has brought a little bit of focus on T20 specifically. So I think our batting was much, much better in this second game, and really happy to see Charlie Wakeham get 91. He's a phenomenal talent, and hopefully 180 will be enough.
Yeah, definitely a big target set here by the University of New South Wales. Still in the first over, and none for 4 is the score here by this Newcastle side.
Yeah, this has been a good over. That's the sort of start that you need from your opening bowlers, and that's the thing. The difference between the both sides at the moment is, Newcastle probably opened up their first over probably wasn't the best start for them. So that's an ideal start for the Uni team, and then of course we have Big Dan Morton coming on now to bowl from the other end here, and he's a good line and length bowler, and he's going to make it hard for Newcastle here as well.
Yes, he's certainly a big piece of tall timber, isn't he? Looks like he can really throw them down. Is he express pace, or is he the fast? Everyone's telling me they're fast mediums. They're either off spinners or half fast mediums. This guy looks at absolute express.
Yeah, I think Jake's probably a fraction faster, but we haven't seen a whole lot of Dan yet. He's new to the club, obviously. He's come down to Sydney to really give it a crack here in grade, and he's fit in really well. I don't think he's express, but he uses his height really well, and he's a very clever bowler. He's got a lot of ability, so I don't know if we've seen him rip out the fastest stuff just yet, but yeah, he's certainly a very good bowler.
Yeah, I know for a fact that he tends to shape the ball away, and I know that last season when he played for Merriweather, Mark Cameron was trying to get him to bowl the in-swinger as well. So he's been working hard on that in the last 12 months, and it should be interesting to see how he goes here.
Yes, and Morton not the only one trying to prove himself in Sydney grade cricket. Of course, the Newcastle side just showing that they can actually mix it with the best playing in this competition. Do you think in the future Newcastle might be a permanent fixture, the rep team in this Sydney grade cricket competition?
Well, yeah, I was reading an article in Josh's newspaper, the Newcastle Herald. Mark Cameron did actually make a comment saying that he believed that if they were playing on a week-to-week basis, they'd be quite competitive. So there's a big future for the Newcastle region and area to come down here and play a bit of cricket. So it's, as I said, in the first innings, it really is a great experience for a lot of the players.
Yes, and of course, Newcastle with the new general manager as well, Ivan Spids, brings a lot of administration experience, so only good things going forward for the Newcastle side, I think. Yeah, well, it's a step in the right direction, and obviously in Newcastle we have a lot of associations, and trying to bring them all together is going to be a hard. It's going to be a hard thing. It's not going to be easy, but they're working towards making it one body, basically. Yes, and we got a little retweet before in the break from, I believe, your son, and I believe it's Pete the Panther, is it?
Yeah, it is actually. I'm a big supporter of the Panthers in rugby league. So, we had a good season this year, and one game from the grand final, and we probably played our worst game then. But he's tweeted through to say I'm doing an okay job, so I'm pretty happy coming from a 13-year-old. Yeah, so if you want to get in touch with us for the coverage, of course, it's at Bar TV Sports, or as we just mentioned, it's at Pete the Panther or at Gareth Wazick. I'm not too sure of Danny's handle, but if you want to let us know, Danny, if anyone wants to have a chat to Danny, we're also hashtag UniVNew for this Kensington Cup.
Yeah, if you're on Twitter, we have UNSW_cricket, which is our Twitter handle, and we're on Facebook. I'm at Danny Bandari. It's my own, but yeah, UNSW_cricket, and we have a great tradition of players coming from the country here to study and play cricket. So yeah, we're really pleased to be hosting one of the regional sides. Really enjoyable, and a lot of guys do come down to give it a crack, and we're always happy to give them a home here.
He's hit that straight back to Joe Burns there. Run rate a little bit slow, not really the start they probably wanted to look for here. None for 11. No, good over though. That's the sort of thing that Daniel Morton brings to the table. Yeah, very tight, wasn't he? Absolutely. He just does that. He's very tight, and as I said before, he's just working on that ball that's coming in, but he tends to shape it away. So, if he can get the in-swinger working, he's going to be quite a handy bowler for the uni team this year. And how's he adapted to uni life down here? Is he going to uni, or is he just playing cricket? He's playing cricket. He works professionally up in Newcastle. He's got a professional career as an engineer, and he's really just commuting down to train and play. And he's a mature age cricketer. I think he's around 28. So he's someone that sort of knows what he wants to do, and he knows how he wants to go about it, and he's taken a very mature professional approach. So we're really pleased to have him. When a guy travels a couple of hours each way to play and train, they're going to give it all they've got. So he's fitting well. He's a good fellow, and I think he's enjoying working
with the coaching staff, and Jeff Lawson's at our club too, so I think he'll really enjoy working with Henry.
Yeah, definitely. And just notice as Jake Turner back on, the Newcastle side swapped their bowlers around quite frequently in the first innings. How do you think the University side will go? Do you think they stick to a targeted game plan? I guess they've got that little bit more of a bit of a game plan and an idea of what's happening. I don't know.
I think you'll see a lot of spin. So Ravi Patel, who's come out, he's a professional from Middlesex in the UK. He'll come on in the middle overs and bowl left arm orthodox. And then we've got 2 or 3 other very good spinners. So I think you'll see a lot of spin, just trying to protect the boundaries, trying to use a sort of bit of the slowness in the wicket and not give the batters much pace to work with. So my tip will be there'll be a lot of spin, and maybe Jake will come back and finish off at the end, maybe Dan as well.
Yeah, I think a total of about 5 spinners, and they're all offies in this side. Suth Thanabalasingham, is that how I say it? I think he's a
left-arm
Chinaman, is he?
Yeah. And then there's 3 very good off-spinners. Marcus Atullah will bowl right-arm off-spin. Josh Connolly, who's playing a little bit for the Comets at the moment, is right-arm off-spin. Rico Duplessis, the off-spinner as well.
He's hit that in the air, and yes, that's out. That's safe as houses down there. That's a pretty poor prod at the ball. It wasn't really an anything shot there, was it, Pete?
No, he kind of. I think he might have changed his mind on what he was going to do there, and yeah. In actual fact, 2 shots before that, he played a pretty nice cover drive that didn't find the gap, unfortunately, and yeah, he probably needed to do a bit more with that particular ball, but it's easier for me to sit here and say it, but yeah, he'd be disappointed with that. But Newcastle, they just need to keep on keeping on here and try and get some quick runs, and try and build this total up a little bit as well. So they don't want to be getting too far behind. Once they start getting too far behind, the task is going to become pretty hard.
As we go to the replay here, it's 1 for 12, chasing down 180, and yeah, he's just taken his eye off the ball there, let his hand off the bat, and really didn't go through with the shot, did he?
Yeah, well, his bottom hand there come off the bat, so he really lost control of it there. So yeah, and it skied up in the air. So, but you just got to keep persevering in this game, and with T20, it can change in a heartbeat. So a bit of luck goes your way, things can change.
Yeah, Pat Darwin coming into bat now. Of course, he's had a little bit of Sydney experience as well. So they're missing nothing with him coming in, and hopefully he can start hitting a few boundaries, because that's what this Newcastle side need at the moment. Just hits it towards the leg side. Fielder coming in. No trouble there.
Yeah, they probably need to do a little bit more of that as well, just sort of try and pick the gaps. They will have to try and get a boundary probably just about every over. If they get bogged down and they start getting the run rate over 10 runs and over or something like that, it is going to be a little bit difficult. So pushing around for the singles, get a couple of twos, and get the odd boundary in and over. It's amazing how the total can sort of start creeping up there.
The old ball 6 boundary, that's what we like at Bar TV. As we come in now. Players just adjusting. Little half appeal there. I don't know what for. It was just a nice little block, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was probably a bit of over-ambitious appealing there. But I mean, I suppose it's worth a shout, isn't it? You never know what the umpire's going to do, really.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to be in it to win it, don't you? You've got to.
Oh, for sure.
If you don't ask, you don't get. So
absolutely.
I'd be appealing everything.
Yes. Just
annoying umpires like you, Pete.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate that. That's why I'm here commentating at the moment. Anyway, that was a good over. And now, of course, Dan Morton on for his second over. Let's see how he goes.
Yeah, I want to see him really bend his back. Oh, that looked pretty quick, that one. I guess it's the angle it's coming down from. He's quite a tall man, as I mentioned before, as we can see on the Bar TV screens. And just looks like it comes a little bit quicker out of the hand than we realised.
He's a pretty difficult customer. He's not easy to get away. When he's on his game, when he's bowling really well, he gets a lot of wickets. So, and his experience down here is going to make him a better cricketer. And to come down here and have the experience of coaches that they have down in this club down here. So, it's going to certainly make him much better.
Oh, that's a big swing there with no result. He looked like he was going to hit that all the way to North Sydney.
I don't mind seeing that though. When you got 180 on the board to chase, you've got to just take your risks, and he hits that. That could have went anywhere, and you just
jumped
never
on
know.
the Manly ferry.
Well, it could have too. Yeah.
That's where that was going.
It's quite a hard ground to hit boundaries. It's a very big ground. I don't know if you can see on the coverage, but compared to most grade grounds, it is certainly one of the bigger. So it is one of those ones, if you field well and bowl to your field, you can stop the opposition getting easy boundaries, which makes the twos and threes and singles really important. So Dan will know that. He'll know he's just trying to stop the boundary, and he won't mind if they're just hitting ones here, because they need 9.5, 10 and over now. So he'll be just trying to figure out where they're going to try and hit a 4 and try and stop that.
Yes, and he walks back. He looks pretty casual, doesn't he? He's got that Newcastle swag about him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's just a pretty casual sort of a guy. One of the nicest blokes you've probably ever met. He's doing well.
Oh, and he's cross-batted that straight back at him. Good fielding, though, there. No mistake.
Yeah, Greg Hunt just didn't quite get onto that one. Didn't quite middle that one. Certain if it come off the middle of the bat, that could have raced away for 4 down here on mid-on. But I think the difference at the moment is the bowling. Both sides, Newcastle, their bowling wasn't as great to start off with, and Uni's, well, it's a lot better.
Yeah, very tight, and doesn't find the gap again. Just a little quick single there.
Yeah, and the thing about batting in T20 games, you get frustrated because if you're not scoring the runs, you're trying to find where you can get the runs, and that's when you have a tendency to get yourself out. So Newcastle, they've got to start getting the runs somehow, if that means it's boundaries or just trying to pick those gaps and getting 2s and 3s.
Yeah, well, it's 1 for 15, and we're into the 4th over here at the Village Green, and that's a nice straight shot there, and it'll beat the fielder and go all the way to the boundary for 4 there. That's a better, more positive shot there.
Yeah, nice shot, and probably more of those would be good for Newcastle's sake. He really just got himself into position nicely there, and as I said, he found the gap there, and that's the sort of thing that Greg Hunt brings to the table as well.
We're going to have a little bit of a change here in the Bar TV commentary. We'd like to say thanks to Danny. All the best for this game. Obviously, we're probably going for Newcastle, but thanks for hosting us here. It's been a lovely day. I really am enjoying this feel of the Village Green. Before you leave us, what is the story behind the naming of the ground? We've all been wondering. Why is it called the Village Green?
I think it's just a throwback to the English style, where most of the grounds there were known as the Village Ground or the Village Green, and this ground's been here since the start of the university, sort of 60 plus years ago. So it's held its name. It's a wonderful oval, and look, we love still playing cricket here. So thanks very much for having me, and I enjoyed giving you some thoughts. And obviously we hope Uni will defend the total, but best of luck to the Newcastle boys too.
Yeah, thanks very much, Danny, and it's been an absolute pleasure. The Danny Bandari, the ex-president of this University of New South Wales side.
And the check's in the mail. Thanks for your contribution.
It'll be a check for not much as the ball comes down, edged away. Score here, a 1 for 19. We're into the 4th over.
Of course, the spinner's on now, so this is an opportunity maybe for Newcastle to force the issue a little bit here. What they probably need to do is get the field a bit more spread. That's what you need to do as a batting team. Try and spread the fieldsmen out so there's opportunities for your singles and your 2s.
And welcome back, Josh. And what were you doing? Just skulking around the outer boundary, just interviewing Freudian slips, maybe?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of Plato and Aristotle and all that sort of stuff, mate. Some interesting conversations out there, some very intelligent people.
That's why I've been sitting up here.
I feel smarter just walking in the building, actually.
And that'll be another 4 there for the Newcastle side.
Yeah, lovely shot from Pat Darwin round the corner. The ball between middle and leg there, and good shot. The fieldsman was up there, so an opportunity for him to make the most of that, and he certainly deserved that boundary.
Yeah, the run rate just lifted a little now too, but a few more positive shots here by the Newcastle side. What's the crowd saying, Josh?
I think, from watching the game so far and from talking to people, I think, the uni bowling attack's quite impressive. I think the 2 left armers, of course, Dan Morton, the former Merriweather bowler. Just watch his delivery here from the spinner.
Well, that was flighted really well by young Connolly there. Of course, he's in this Futures tournament coming up with the ACT side, the Comets. He's a good cricketer to watch out for, I think.
Yeah, we'll just watch his delivery. Oh, a little bit of a false start there, changing the field. But,
confident for a young bloke.
Well, you got to be, I think, when you're a spinner, you got to be confident, especially in T20 cricket. Got plenty of stick. But for people back home who don't know much about the Futures League, it essentially is the second tier of first-class cricket in Australia. Basically, the Futures League, all the states have a second 11 side, such as New South Wales or a Victorian second 11. Plus, it has the ACT Comets, which field a team in that competition. And it's been a real great breeding ground for a lot of the first-class players in recent years, and a good breeding ground for, say, Novocastrian cricketers who have had the opportunity to go down to ACT. Ones that come to mind, of course, were Josh Anderson, the former university quick, and also Matthew Gawthorpe, who's now former Toronto batsman, who's now back at uni after playing with the Comets. So we have Dan Morton coming in.
Yeah, still not really finding the gaps though. They've certainly got a lot of fire behind these strokes, especially Darwin. I'm very impressed by him. When he's batting, he looks like he's got a lot of punch to his stroke play.
Well, he certainly has, but he also understands that he has to force the issue a bit here as well now, because the overs are ticking over. And I think watching Greg Hunt, that last shot, it just goes to show that I think he needs to continue to get on with it, and this should be interesting.
Oh, and that's a drop chance there. That was anyone's there. It should have been really taken. That will be rude, and that could come back to bite them, the university side.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a dropped opportunity there, and a missed chance. And the ball did come to him fairly quickly, but at this standard they probably should be taking those ones.
That's one-handed, left-handed. That one. That's how easy that one. That should have been taken really.
Probably a missed opportunity for both sides. I mean, it was a full toss on leg stump. I mean, the Newcastle batsman should have put that to the boundary as well, because you're not going to get too many full tosses from Dan Morton.
Oh, and he's hit that high in the air, and that'll go over the fielder, and that'll go all the way for 4, and that's a good positive stroke there.
Yeah, no, that's a shot that Pat Darwin plays very well, and he's got to continue to play that very well. Dan Morton pitched that one up, and I'm sure that he'll get another opportunity before the end of this over. So he'll be looking at possibly that part of the ground to try and hit it back over his head, I would imagine.
I think Dan Morton would love to get Pat Darwin out too. These boys, of course, former Merriweather teammates.
Yeah, we just had a look at the replay there, and that was really dollied up to him, wasn't it? He should have taken that one.
Yeah, just going by the replay there, he just looks a little bit off balance as well, going for that ball, which, as a fielder, you've got to have that balance. If you haven't got the balance, it can sort of, put it all out of sync for you. So, so I think with the ball coming in so quickly, off balance, just made him hard to take that catch.
Yeah, score here, 1 for 31. Into the 6th over now. But Morton's been pretty impressive.
He's always one of the better bowlers in the Newcastle scene. When the couple of seasons he had at Merriweather, he was obviously probably the tallest bowler in the comp and got some great bounce. And I remember watching a couple of very lively spells down at number 1 sports ground in finals when really had the batsmen hopping using his height to great advantage.
And as Danny was saying earlier on in the commentary, of course, Dan comes down on the weekends and plays here, and he also gets the opportunity to train with his old club Merriweather. So, he's still getting the training, which is very important for him.
Yes, definitely, and good to see Merriweather getting their players to improve themselves?
Yeah, well, I think they're a club that obviously at the moment top of the tree in regards to first grade and doing fairly well in the other grades as well. But it's nice to know that the club is quite happy to let the calibre player like Dan Morton come down to Sydney, try his luck, but still welcome him to training so he can still be fit and ready to go for Saturdays.
Yes, and Connolly will resume these off breaks he's been throwing down the pitch. He was pretty impressive in his first little stint there.
Yeah, I think for the Newcastle team, these are the opportunities right now. They need to start, chancing their arm when the spinners are on. So these two out here at the moment, as we can see, just by what we've seen in the last couple of overs, they strike the ball very cleanly. So this over, they'll be looking at trying to get as many runs as they can.
Yeah, and 5 outside the circle as well. And yes, he does go for it and might just split the fielders there. No, they come around and that'll be Burns again. And he's the magnet this innings for the University side. He's fielded about 5 of those balls coming to the boundary.
Yeah, just goes to show, doesn't it, when the ball's chasing you around all day, it just continues to do that. So this should be an interesting ball, this one.
Yeah, he's given that a bit more flight, that one. He didn't really push that one through, did he?
Yeah, no, a bit slower. And I think it, in respect to, Greg Hunt there, probably just played that ball a little bit too soon.
Yeah, probably. Oh, and that's out, is it? Yes, he's given him. I thought he was well short of his crease there. And that's the second wicket down for the Newcastle side. Just beating him by flight and just really didn't pick it there, did he, Peter?
No, and I think the wicketkeeper was quite fortunate there as well. We're going to have a replay of that particular dismissal there, but yeah, I think Greg Hunt would probably be a little bit disappointed with that. He was just starting to hit the ball cleanly, so I think if he would have remained in there for a few more overs, he might have scored a few runs.
Yes, and head down, hitting the ground. Not happy with that dismissal at all as we look at the replay, and just flicked it through, got him on the bounce. Wicketkeeper nearly made a meal of it though.
A bit of a fumble there, but and he just didn't get that back foot back in time, unfortunately, for Greg Hunt. So the captain's come in now for Newcastle, Mark Littlewood. Here's an opportunity for him to play a very important role, a captain's knock here. So again, another good striker of the ball as well. So this should be an interesting innings.
Yeah, well, he's probably going to have to step up here, is Littlewood. He's going to need to make a big score for his team. 2 wickets down for 34 runs. The Newcastle Steel side chasing 180 to win. Oh, he's given that a lot of air, hasn't he? He's given that a lot of air, sorry, Connolly, and he's playing very confident.
Yeah, I think for Newcastle to win this game now, they need somebody to, take the game by the throat. It's important that they get somebody that, can score a lot of runs very quickly now. So just try and change the momentum of the game.
Oh, 2 full tosses in a row and doesn't get rid of them. Oh, that's a fumble in the field there. And good running there by the Newcastle side.
Yeah, the second one was definitely on there. So that's one extra run that they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, Connolly now probably trying to do a little bit too much with it. The confidence high after that stumping just before. That's a much better ball, but equally well dealt with there. As they'll come all the way to the boundary, and he's hit the sand there, and is he okay? He'll get up there.
Yeah, looked quite nasty. His leg got caught there on the sand, and not the probably not the wisest of decisions to be trying to do those sort of moves on these sort of grounds, because as we said before, it's very patchy and very sandy. So, but Bear lucky to get away with.
Yes, the South African Rico Duplessis taking a bit of a tumble there. Spikes and sand do not mix.
It only brought back flashbacks of Simon Jones in the first test at Brisbane there back, I think, the 06, 07 Ashes series.
Yes, if we have a little bit of a look at the replay as he comes in, he looks like he was going to cut that ball off, and he's taken a tumble. Looks like there's a sniper up in those accommodation buildings over there, and he's just been hit.
Yeah, he actually sort of dug into the ground there, into the sandy part of the ground there, and kind of got a bit stuck there. And yeah, and probably with so many runs on the board, it was probably not necessary, really.
Looks like someone's taken a big hit of the sand wedge down there and hasn't done the divot back up.
Looks
So
like when I play golf.
Yes, and this is the man we're told to look out for. It's Ravi Patel. He's a Middlesex player. He's a professional cricket player in England. Come over to Australia to chance his arm here and keep playing around the summer. Chasing the endless summer is Ravi. And he's definitely one to watch out for, and let's look for plenty of turn here, I think.
Yeah, well, he's probably played plenty of 2020 cricket, so his experience will certainly tell here.
Yeah, easy little single there.
Yeah, it looks as though he's going to bowl him fairly flat too. Just put the ball through very quickly, just to give the batsman in two minds really. So so this could be an interesting over.
Yes, and just vary that one a little bit slower. That one.
Yeah, as I said in the first innings, the thing about spin bowling is your variety and what you can do with the ball, and just keeps the batsman thinking.
Yeah, nice shot there, but fielder out to cut it off. Charlie Walkham, the successful batter from the first innings, getting 91 off 66 balls.
Yeah, good innings, wasn't it? If those viewers out there who watch that innings, they would certainly agree with us that certainly has given the uni guys a real chance here now.
Yeah, definitely. In Newcastle, 2 for 43. We're now into the 8th over, so they're really going to have to pick up their run rate through this back half of the match if they're going to be any shot for continuing in this Kensington Cup. And how do you think they can do it, Josh?
Well, they've really got to start forcing the issue because, we're now up to the 8th over and we're only 48 on the board, 43 on the board, sorry. And I think now with the left arm spinner on the in the attack, it's probably the time they've got to start making a move here and really starting to force the issue. Littlewood and Darwin are probably their two best batsmen left in the order, so I think either one of these two, or preferably both, have really got to be the guys to carry on and maybe get a 50 to 60 run partnership and get that run rate down, because if it gets any higher than 8 or 9 and over, you'd really think it's probably the end of the road.
Yeah, and I mean Newcastle still got a couple of batsmen to come in that strike the ball fairly well. Players like Joe Price, one comes to mind straight away. So I agree with Josh there. They just need to. At least one of them just needs to, start chancing their hand a bit here and taking a few risks.
Yes, and Connolly's going to, interestingly enough, continue his spell from the southern end there, the accommodation end. And he's done pretty well, has young Connolly. He's taken that vital wicket before of Hunt.
Yeah, interesting action. He sort of comes off the other foot, and one of those off spinners who bowls more from the front of the hand and not so much with the fingers.
Yeah, so that was smart cricket there from Newcastle. That was just a nice shot around the mid wicket there. As you can see, fieldsmen are fairly deep there. So honestly, there are probably 2 runs out there every time if they can get it out there.
Yeah, definitely good running between the wickets. And he's found the gap there to the fielder in Joe Burns. The shade just creeping over the ground now. And they're really advancing to Connolly as well, but he's pegging them back with his flight. He's really...
He's bowling a good length, and also he's varying them around a bit too. So, it is making it a little bit difficult to get him away.
And he gets rid of that one, but again, Burns is equal to the task and rips it in, and the little flick through the legs.
That's excellent running. That's what Newcastle need to do. They need to turn the ones into twos, and each time they, play the ball out to the deeper fieldsmen, they need to really run hard that first one, and then, try and get that second one in if they can.
Again, down the ground to the fielder and taking the easy single there. It's 2 for 51 here. And
yeah, because as you can see, I mean, there's plenty of runs around here, so all they've got to do is just, you know, pick this bowler off and hit it into the gaps and down to, you know, long mid on there. There's certainly a run there.
yeah, definitely a lot of runs. And I mean, this University side under pretty much no pressure really, so they're quite happy to take the singles, I think.
Oh, look, for Newcastle, it's getting down to a stage where they need at least 1 or 2 boundaries per over now. So that's what they need to aim for, and if they've got to take risks to do it, well, that's what you have to do.
What about you, Josh? If you're out in the middle, where are you hitting it to?
Well, I think, unlike, say, the Newcastle side, I think the Uni boys have really, they're not giving away that 4 or 6 ball and over. They've bowled very accurately, and they're forcing Newcastle to manufacture all their shots and really go for 2s and 1s. Newcastle, I suppose, there's room down here at Cow Corner. We'll just watch the left arm spinner, Patel.
And gets it around the corner.
Potentially, maybe they have to start, you know, trying a few reverse sweeps, a few ramps. Maybe put a bit of pressure on the fielding side by hitting it to areas where they haven't really, planned for, I suppose. Because at the moment, it's all a little bit too easy for Uni. They're just fielding the ball and letting them get the 1s and 2s.
And that's a good shot there, coming down the field. And that's the 6, and that's the first 6 for the Newcastle side of the game. And that was an absolute belter.
Yeah, it was a great shot, and that's a clean hit. Mark Littlewood is good at that. He really does hit the ball extremely hard, and honestly, that's what Newcastle have to do right there. Is they have to probably at least get 2 boundaries, as I said before, per over for the rest of this innings. And if they do that, you know, they could get up to that 180.
Yeah, good positive cricket there. Oh, and that's a little paddle flick. I don't know, would you call that a paddle flick? That's a new shot. I think he just
That's like
came up with that one.
Sort of like that ramp shot they do as well, which sort of a ramp sweep, I guess. But yeah, well, I mean, that's what they got to do, because that wasn't bad bowling before by Patel, but he's been hoiked over for 6. I mean, it was just good batting. I mean, they've probably got to force the issue a little bit, put a bit of pressure on the bowler.
Oh, and he's gone for it again, finding the gap and content with the 1 boundary, the 6 in this over, and just looking, as you said, Josh, to find some new spots in the field to hit the ball to, just questioning the Uni side in the field. What about you, Peter? What's your thoughts on the tactics moving forward for this Newcastle side?
Well, the thing with Newcastle is they've got to put pressure on the fielding side now. That's what they need to do. That to me is the important thing for them to start getting the fieldsmen to start thinking about what they're doing.
Lavishly played there. Might have been a leading edge back to the bowler, but yeah, good return at the end of the over there for Patel.
Yes, and the score here, 2 for 62. Newcastle chasing the University of New South Wales, who reached a total of 179 as we go now to the Bar TV replay. And we look at the 6, and he's absolutely hit that cleanly, hasn't he?
Yeah, it was a clean hit. And he's got plenty of power, and I think a lot of timing in that shot too. As we know, as people have played cricket before, it's not about how much power you put behind it, but timing is extremely important, and Mark Littlewood certainly has that.
Yes, and Connolly into his 4th over now. He's been very impressive, hasn't he? And this could be close. He didn't put his bat down, and that's out. That's a rookie mistake there by the Newcastle side.
It was
no desperation.
Not at all. It looked like he was just, he thought it was a safe run. He was just ambling home, and he was being completely caught out there, Pat Darwin. And I mean, that's a massive wicket there too for Newcastle, because him and Mark Littlewood was starting to get a little bit of a partnership going, and little bit of momentum going for the Novocastrians. But to get out that way, it's a rookie error.
Yeah, so 3 for 62 now, and you just don't not put your bat down, do you, as we go to the Bar TV replay, Peter?
Well, when you're up the other end, the backing up is obviously very important, and I got the impression, just looking at what Pat Darwin was doing there, was I don't think he thought there was a single there, and really, realistically, when you look at the replay there, he was well and truly out. So there could have been a slight hesitation, and as we know, just that slight hesitation, you're gone. That's it. It's all over for you. So interesting enough, I was just talking a little bit earlier on about Joe Price, and he's just made his way out to the wicket. So, so someone might be listening to us out there, taking some advice on board. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if they're listening to me. Maybe yourself and Josh. And what did you think about that wicket, Josh?
I was just going to say that I personally thought there was a run there, and I thought he would have made it if he probably put a little bit more effort in and actually stuck out the bat. I thought he was home for sure, but yeah, just a bizarre sort of run there from Pat Darwin.
That could have been close as well, and maybe a little bit of fatigue. You know, they have played that game before they came here, got back on the bus to make their way over to the University of New South Wales. So a bit of that lactic acid, maybe his legs weren't quite moving the way he wanted them to. Oh, and that's a good shot as the outfield slows the ball up and not giving it the kudos it probably deserved, that shot.
Yeah, just getting back to that run out, the thing about when you're batting is that when you're up the non-strikers end, if you get a shot like that, you have a tendency to maybe look around to see where the ball is, and that can also stop your momentum as well. So in that circumstance, if you look back at the replay, that may have happened.
Oh, and he's gone for that one, hasn't he? Price, and Connolly's very impressive, isn't he?
Yeah, well, Price has certainly come out and made his intentions well known. He's only faced, I think, 3 balls now, and he's going for that sort of that shovel hoik shot over mid-wicket.
Oh, off the back foot, that one, and finding the gap, but again, Burns is there, fielding well.
He's got a big role to play, I think, Joe Price, because without Sam Webber in the team, I suppose Sam Webber is that X-factor player for Newcastle. Normally, he's the one who can hit boundaries out of nothing, and Joe Price is probably a similar sort of a player, so he probably needs to be that X-factor now if they're going to force a victory.
That's a nice shot as well, but the fielder equal to the task.
Yeah, we might go back to that replay because I really get the impression, guys, that it may have been just that hesitation looking back where the ball was, which does have a tendency to actually slow your momentum. See, there you go. There's a bit of a stutter actually. So that's what did him in, was the fact that he looked around and then he stuttered, and then by that time it was over.
He was looking the wrong way as well, wasn't he? So
yeah. Look, he was doing what I think most of us would do. He was looking where the ball was going. But in some circumstances, you got to put trust in your partner. When he calls you, you just run. So, and I suppose that just that slight stutter,
that hesitation,
that was where it sort of done him in.
Maybe that's the thing with this comp, the fact that a little bit disadvantaged Newcastle in that they are a rep side essentially. These guys don't play week in week out together. Where the Sydney teams are playing, they're training together, they're playing together every week, and maybe they're a little bit more familiar with the calls and batting with each other.
Yeah, you are right. I think being familiar with each other's play is certainly an advantage. And as you say, a lot of Newcastle players don't really play a lot of cricket together.
And we've got a change here in the bowling, and Marcus Atala has come on, and he's another off spinner for this University of New South Wales side.
Yeah, look, just going on that first ball there, I think this is the over that Newcastle should, try and gain the ascendancy if they can.
Funny little stuttering action as well, hasn't he, Atala? He seems to pull up like a show pony and have a little canter at the end of it.
I've never really thought of bowlers like that, but I suppose when you look at it.
Let's just check it out here. Comes down and again finding the field of the Newcastle side, so having no luck with the placement of their shots at the moment. I think they need to probably go to the air at the moment.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But you really can't win this game with singles. That's where it's all at.
And that's it there, and here it comes. It's coming, and it is over. Good shot there.
Yeah, that's right, and that's where Newcastle's going to win this game if they're going to win it by playing shots like that on a much regular basis. We'll be interested to see the replay of that shot. And the good thing about that, he's picked an area. There's a fieldsman out here deep, but he picked a really good area there to hit that one.
I think our Bar TV producer Josh Mason was worried about his car. Then it was perilously close that six from Joe Price, but cracking shot, probably the biggest shot of the day we've seen.
Yeah, and a misfield down there in the deep, and Newcastle taking the runs.
Yeah, that was big Dan Morton down there. I mean, he's 7 foot tall just about, and sometimes it's a bit hard to get down to the ball when you're that tall. So, you know, he's allowed a few excuses now and again.
Bend the back, Joe. Bend the back. Dan, sorry. Oh, and he's going for that sweep shot, and Connolly coming around and fielding well there, Connolly, and that's quick fielding, and didn't look like going to the boundary with him on the case, did it?
Yeah, that was good fielding. Newcastle were looking for that second run there, but Mark Littlewood did the right thing there and said, no, we'll stay for one.
As we go now to the 6, and as we mentioned, the producer worried about either his car or his camera, and it's cleared the fence. And
actually, that would be close to one of the shots of the day. Just the way that he played that ball, and yeah, that was a clean hit, and it went a fair way out of the ground as well. So certainly that'd be up there with one of the shots of the day.
Players out there having a chat between themselves. What do you think they're saying to each other? Do you think they're saying, let's just go for it, we've got nothing to lose?
Oh, well,
We're
yes.
the boys from the bush, let's just show them how we play in the country.
Well, yeah, that's what they certainly would be talking about. That factor that I've been talking about for most of their innings is that boundary factor. You know, let's work on maybe 1 or 2 boundaries and over and see how we go.
I think the one advantage still left for Newcastle is the fact they've only lost 3 wickets. So I mean, there is they do have that ability there to open up the arms and start trying to hit some sixes and maybe take a lot more risks, because there's still some decent batsmen to come. But probably Joe Price and Mark Littlewood, they've got to be the two that really lead the revival, I suppose.
Yeah, it's 3 for 81 here at the Village Green. I think the University of New South Wales at this point in the match were well over 100. So a little bit of work to do for the Newcastle side, but it's not undoable, is it?
No, that was a leg by there too, and no, nothing's ever not possible. You've just got to try and. I think for Newcastle, they need to get like an over that they get about 20 runs. If they can do that, well, that might change the scope of the game.
As they come through now, and that's a good shot there. And Rico Duplessis, the change of bowler, and he's been hit for 4, and that's a good shot. That's what they need. And
yeah, that's exactly what they need, and they need to continue to do it right throughout the remaining overs of the innings. And if they do, as I say, if they can get that 15-20 per over, they're in for a bit of a shake.
That's another good shot there.
Another weird sort of action too from this Duplessis, the South African. It's I thought maybe a little bit of a ballerina style, so he gets up on his toes and a little bit of a twirl.
A little bit of a pirouette. Fast pirouette though, because I haven't actually seen him spin, but he goes to pirouette and he doesn't, and he does, and then Rico Duplessis, probably the most fascinating name in this Newcastle University of New South Wales side, and and he's dropped a chance, and that's the only blemish on Connolly's game so far, but it was a good attempt there, wasn't it?
Excellent attempt, hot chance there. He nearly made that into a very, very good catch indeed, and another interesting shot there from Mark Littlewood, just trying to vary his game around a little bit, and yeah, that was a lucky break for him.
We'll talk about ballerinas, but I have not seen something so poetic as that attempt there. The little block.
Yeah, that was a good ball, right up on the block hole there, and Joe Price couldn't really do too much with that. So that was a good ball to actually end the over with.
Yeah, if there's any university art students around the ground today, I'm sure they'll be putting that into some poetry maybe later on. It was a very poetic dive.
All right, we might just have a look at that missed chance there. As we said, it was a pretty hot chance, and that would have certainly made things a little bit interesting for Newcastle to bring another new batsman in. There you go, around the corner.
Oh,
yeah, that was. I mean, just on effort alone, that was very fantastic.
Yeah, but he'll still be putting $1 into that tin later on for the beers at the after-match function.
That's all right. I mean, if I was in his position, I'd be quite happy with that effort, to be honest with you.
As we come in now, we're into the 14th over here at the Village Green. And he's absolutely lined that one up, and it's over the fence for 6.
Yeah, that was even bigger than the last one, I think. That was, great shot. Was still going before it hit the tree as well. So
Hit the tree, and it was like an apple falling out of the tree. Isaac Newton would have been happy with that one.
yeah, the theory of relativity just dropped down then. But
Oh, that was a quicker ball. And did he get an edge to that one? I thought he might have.
Yeah, the keeper there was pretty confident that he might have heard a noise there, but just going back on that shot for 6 there. Joe Price, if he hangs around here for long enough and he keeps hitting them like that, it's going to make it interesting. And that's a good shot as well, just for a single.
good comeback by the right arm spinner though.
Yeah, good ball.
He, being a spinner, you don't have the advantage of being able to rock in a bounce or anything like that when you get hit for 6. But good arm ball, and certainly lucky there, Joe Price, or not to get the bottom edge.
Yes, and he's not as cocky anymore, is he? He's throwing them in fast and just making sure of it.
Yeah, that was a bit quicker, that one. And I think when you hit over the fence, you tend to change. What you do, and this is what Newcastle needs to do. Try and change what the bowlers are doing.
Oh, and he's put the slow on it, and he's dropped an absolute sitter there. Rico Duplessis batted so well, but I tell you what, he's fielded pretty poorly. He's had the spill before and the drop catch just then. Should have taken that one.
Yeah, straight to him, that one. I think even Josh Leeson could have caught that one, to be honest with you. And yeah,
Josh Leeson would have swallowed that one up.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh. I wasn't a bad fielder in my day.
Yeah, good running there by the Newcastle side between the wickets, and off and on over there for the number 8 in Marcus Artala. And Newcastle now move to 3 for 99, chasing down 180 set by the University of New South Wales.
Yeah, could that be the let-off that Newcastle need to now kick on now in the final 6 overs? I mean, it's a pretty mountainous task to rein in this score at this point of the game, but if Joe Price, he's a great hero of the ball. If he can keep it going and run his luck, who knows? Okay, we'll take a look at this drop catch here on the Bar TV replay.
Yes, and here we are. And he's cracked it, and
yeah, I think at this level you catch those ones.
you catch those in your sleep.
Yeah,
Tell you what.
he'd be disappointed with that, and yeah, the ball kind of went on a bit further as it went past him as well. So
Interesting now, Ravi has changed ends. Oh, and that's got to be close, has it? No, probably too far out, I would imagine there. Probably too far down the wicket.
yeah, probably a bit of both there. That might have hit him outside off stump too. It's a bit hard to tell where we're sitting at the moment, but yeah, that could have been what the decision was there.
Oh, and he stepped up to that one, and good shot, and all the way down to the boundary. That's a good, classy drive, that one.
Yeah, no, that was a very, very, very good shot. And we've got 2 clean hitters here for Newcastle. That's the positive thing about these next few overs is, if they can, as I say, if they can just keep getting that 20 or 25 in and over, things change.
Oh, he's gone for the same shot again, but heads towards the leg side of the field that time.
It was all in the feet work from Mark Littlewood. He basically just skipped out, got to the pitch of the ball beautifully, and then played through it. And I mean, that's how you play good spin bowling.
Well, they don't call him Happy Feet Littlewood for nothing, do they? You're watching live at Bar TV, the home of grassroots sports at the moment. And we are watching the University of New South Wales versus the Newcastle Steel. And it's been a pretty good game so far. It's an open game, at least, still, isn't it? But Newcastle really have to pick up the tempo in these last 5 overs.
Yeah, well, the thing about Newcastle, if they don't actually get the total, they've got to try and give it a good run and leave the tournament in a positive way.
Yes, and just knocks that down the field. Connolly comes in and... Makes no mistake of
It's
it.
certainly important for Newcastle to, I think, try and get a second win, because last year they missed the finals, but they won 2 of their 3 games. This year, if they lose this game, they're going to only record 1 win out of the 4, and I mean, you don't want to be going backwards, especially how hard they fought to be part of this comp.
Yes, and definitely. And for you, Josh, who's been the player for Newcastle in this tournament so far, watching the games that you've watched over the last couple of weeks?
I mean, for me personally, it was probably Jeff Kinninan last week. He was sensational with the bat, but we haven't even seen him bat yet today. So, as far as today's game, obviously Joe Price has probably looked the best of the batsmen so far.
And he was pretty good with the ball too.
Yeah, he was good with the ball too. So, but then again, he didn't bowl that well in week 1. So, I'm still going to go with Jeff Kinninan, because I thought the way he batted last week really turned the game and for Newcastle. So, I think he'll probably come in next, because he's probably the other big genuine hitter in this side, and he might be able to weave his magic yet again.
I'll put it out to the crowd listening at home, and of course the pubs and clubs across New South Wales. If you were out there batting for Newcastle, hit us on Twitter at @BarTV Sports. What would you be doing right now? Would you be hitting it for 6 every ball, or just still playing controlled type cricket? Hit us again at @BarTV Sports, #UniVNew, and give us your thoughts on this match and what you'd actually be doing as it nearly clears the fence and runs away for 4 there.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad shot. For a moment there, I thought that was going to go straight down his throat, but as it turned out, it went over his head and to the boundary for 4 runs. So, but I think Newcastle have got the got the message here that this could be the 20 over I'm talking about, and this is where they need to really capitalise on it.
Yeah, Duplessis coming into bowl here, and he's gone for that one, but didn't really get on it what he wanted to get on it, and fielded well there by the University side. The Bumblebees, as they're affectionately known. Yeah, and really in desperate need of a boundary here in the 16th over. And that's not going to do it. But picking the tall man out of the field, probably the man to go to.
Outstanding fielding from Dan Morton there. It's probably the best fielding I've seen him do for a long time, actually. The big fella gets around there, and I reckon some of his Merriweather counterparts who was watching this coverage here this afternoon will be going, well, where's that been for the last couple of seasons?
Well, steps back on the back foot and
got to double up here.
Yeah, got to look for 2, and they do, and yeah, good running there, and didn't look like a run-out chance there. The fielder coming around in Charlie Walkham, the almost century maker, 91 off 66 balls in the first innings. Ooh, little bottom edge there, and could run all the way to the fence. As Big Morton, can he bend down in time? And yes, he does.
He must get nosebleeds when he stands back up after bending down.
A little bit of a head rush. Wouldn't mind being that tall myself.
But have a look at the field here right now. I'm thinking that the best boundary areas really for Littlewood and Price seem to be probably cow corner here at deep mid wicket. They've got players on the boundary at a deep mid on, at a sort of a squarish mid wicket and also a square leg. But cow corner's only really the mid wicket inside the circle, but no one else. So it might be the spot to target in these last 4 overs.
Yeah, certainly with the deep fielders there, they're going to have to hit the ball, fairly cleanly and try and get it over the fence. Otherwise, they'll risk holing out. So, but let's face it. I mean, they've only lost 3 wickets, Newcastle. So now's probably the time just to go for it and go for broke and just see what happens.
Yes, and we're into the 17th over, so time running out for this Newcastle side as Ravi Patel is looking to bowl from the accommodation end, the southern end of this Village Green oval. The wind again picked up again, so they will be hitting with the wind if they go down the ground, which is an obvious advantage. Yeah, so probably about 20 runs and over is
Well,
might be a little bit
15
out
and
of their
over. I've just
grasp.
done the math.
Yeah, so about 15 and over, you know, which is gettable. But you know, the uni guys have bowled pretty well in this innings, so you know, really the difference has probably been the bowling for both teams.
Yeah, very tight. Bump that one into the ground, and that's a good first up ball there by Ravi. As we hear this jet saunter over us, and we're right in the flight path here at the Village Green at the University of New South Wales. And he's hit it in pretty much the same place there.
Yeah, that was two very tight balls from the bowler there. You know, these are the sort of overs that you need from your slower bowlers. Just keep it up there and you know, test out the batsmen to see if they can you know, clear the pickets.
Oh, and he's hit that pretty well, and it's going to be cut off at the fence though. No, a little fumble there. No, but it comes through. I heard a call of streakers from the crowd and just took my eye off the ball there, looking for some young university people with no clothes on, but much to my disappointment, it was a false alarm. Oh, that's a good shot there. Reverse sweep all the way to the fence. Where's that been all game, guys?
He took a bit of risk there too, because you know, there's the fielder there at sort of gully, which but he's beautifully hit that over the top. Got plenty on that too there, Mark Littlewood, and great shot, moves him to 37.
Yeah, he kind of likes that shot, doesn't he? He nearly lost his wicket earlier on with that shot.
Oh, he's hit his bat for 4 and he's still going to run. He's going to have to dive. Oh,
Well,
he's cut the ball off
the
with his
bat's actually gone further than the ball.
body. His teammates giving an absolute heckle. One of the funniest things they've seen in a long time.
Well, actually, what they should do at Bar TV is put that on the highlights reel and send him a copy of that. I'm sure he'd like to watch that one back. Yeah, no, these things happen, don't they?
Yeah, the umpire nearly had to run from cover there. The bat nearly went out of square leg.
I'll tell you what, I was lucky there was no bat pad in there. That brought back some very bad memories for me as a specialist bat pad fieldsman. And again, we were interrupted by one of these jumbo jets.
That's a wide.
Yeah, got to be. Maybe the bat throwing's put off young Ravi here and his line and length a little bit disrupted. Oh,
It's another wide.
Another
so
wide.
2 in a row. Yes, if you can get free runs, I guess Newcastle will take them.
is that a free shot after 2 wides? Do they get a free shot in this competition in the Kensington Cup? Doesn't look like it, as that's called over there. Newcastle 3 for 130. We're now into the 18th over, so got to get another 50 runs here to win the match. The Newcastle side as
Yeah,
they come out and change the pads.
It's a bit of a tall order now, I think. They may have left this a little bit too late, but you know, cricket's a funny game. You know, you just never know what's going to happen from one ball to the next. So, yeah, we'll wait and see how they finish. As long as they finish strongly, I mean, that's what they need to do, and finish the tournament very strongly. That's you know, take some positives away from it all.
As we go down to the Bar TV replay, let's have a look at the shot of the match. And whoop, as slippery as you like. And I'll tell you what, if you were umpiring out there, you would have probably hurdled that, I reckon, Pete.
Oh, look, I would have done the right thing, and I would have went and picked his bat up for him at least anyway. You know.
Yeah, no.
One thing's for sure, he certainly scampered there to try and get to the other end without a bat. So he knew that without the bat, he just needed to get to the other end very quickly.
Yes, and Burns now coming in from the boundary, looking to apply a bit of pressure here. The University of New South Wales side in the dying overs, the dying stages of this match.
They tick over 16 and over Newcastle to pull off what would be a miraculous victory.
Yes, and change a bowler here, and
It's actually
he's taken
bowled
the
him.
stump and he's bowled him. He's hit the top of the stump, and as easy as you like, there was no reaction in the field, and I think even the wicketkeeper missed that until he looked up.
Yeah, I think that one hit leg stump, and then just ricocheted away. So, unfortunate there for Joe Price, who's looking really good, and now that kind of changes the scope of the game a little bit. But a bloke that's in form, and I think Josh mentioned the fact that if he had to pick one of his players for Newcastle who have performed very well this tournament, this is a bloke, Jeff Ganninan, coming in right now. So. He hasn't got many balls to face, so here's an opportunity for him to, maybe show us, a bit of that form from last Sunday.
Yeah, you've just got to come in now, really, and just hit and hope, I think, and just go for everything. I'd just be attacking every ball coming down at me, closing my eyes, gritting my teeth, and just swinging the bat at it.
Well, the thing about him is that, he's another one of these players that, hits the ball extremely hard and has a bit of control over it as well. So, so we'll wait and see what happens here.
As we go now to the replay of the wicket, and that's a good first up ball, and he didn't know where that went, did he?
Yeah, he kind of stepped a little bit across there and exposed his leg stump. Going by the replay, I'm just trying to make out which stump it hit. I think it may have been leg stump.
Yeah, so Jake Turner with a couple of wickets here now. Very quick, isn't he? But this could be a bit of an advantage for the Newcastle side, bringing on the quits. The ball does come off the bat a little bit quicker, I guess, and hits the boundary a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, you can use the actual pace of the ball to get the ball and hit the ball a little bit harder. So this will be an interesting little period here for the next few balls to see what the bowler does here, if he actually does vary his pace a bit.
Coming off the long run up as well is Turner. Steaming in. Just hit the bottom of the bat then. Not really the timing he was looking for. And Connolly comes around. He's quick in the field, isn't he, Connolly? And cleans that one up.
Yeah, the Newcastle team there took 2 runs. So still the equation, is still looking a bit far from their reach right now. But I suppose you never give up, but I think they may have left it just a little bit too late.
And in comes Turner again. Nice shot, but probably will be cut off, and yes, it will. Well, good fielding as well.
Yeah, Charlie Wakeham there, yeah.
He's had a good game, Charlie, hasn't he, Walkham?
Yeah, that was good fielding. The thing I liked about that, he got to the ball very quickly, and he got the ball and picked it up all in one motion, which, it's the momentum thing once you pick that ball up and you throw it straight in. So, yeah, that was a really good classic piece of fielding.
Yeah, one-handed on this ground, I'll take that any day. I mean, it's bumping all over the place at right angles. And that's a good shot there, but probably hasn't got the legs in this slow outfield as it comes around. And again, Walkham stops the ball on the boundary. They'll take 3 though. Really taking a little bit too long to open up in this game, the Newcastle Steel side, but they'll be better for this experience.
Yeah, but, when you think about the first maybe 3 or 4 overs in the innings, it was pretty tight bowling from both the openers, so it made it very difficult for Newcastle to get on the front foot. And that's where they probably may have, fallen short in this game just by the first 3 or 4 overs.
We took a big step back there, didn't he? And he was going to absolutely belt the cover off that one, but missed it completely. Mistimed it, and that'll be over.
Yeah, I think they'll look back in analysis of this game and probably think that the bowling let them down. I think they were probably too expensive and didn't build enough pressure, and obviously they didn't take enough wickets. I mean, they let Walkham get to 91. He batted beautifully, and he really took him out of the game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think the bowling has been the difference for both sides here. Newcastle early on, they sort of strayed with their bowling a bit and they leaked a few runs, where the Uni team, as I mentioned just earlier, the fact is their first 4 or 5 overs were quite tight, so that all of a sudden puts the pressure on the opening batsman. And the thing about the Uni innings was the opening batsman, pretty much batted for the whole innings, which if you can get a player to do that, you're going to win more games than lose games.
as Morton now thundering in. Oh, and it's hit back at him, but there's a fielder out in the deep there, and they'll come back for 2, and he's gone to the wicket-keeper end, and ooh, had a chance at the bowler's end then, I thought. Chose to go long, showing off.
Yeah, a bit of a rough chance, but I think, I think the batsmen were fairly well safe. In
Morton loves the run out.
If you look at the Newcastle innings with the bat, they've, I think they've batted well, but they've been forced to take risks all the time where Uni didn't have to because of Newcastle's bowling at times.
Yeah, it's not a bad score. It's certainly nothing to be ashamed of by the Newcastle side, sitting at 4 for 141 now. I mean, in any other game in this competition, that gets them in a winning position, really.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, if Newcastle would have batted first, it could have been a different scenario too. I mean, if they set a target and then they might have defended the target a little bit better. But with Uni winning the toss and deciding to bat, it probably put Newcastle on the back foot from the very beginning.
Yes, and ex-Newcastle man. Oh, well, that's a wicket. That's a good ball. Just nipping back in there and catching him unaware. He was looking to hit that out of the park, and I think he saw it up there with that jumbo jet, the Jetstar coming across the field. His eyes were up there and just mistimed it, and that's another wicket.
Yeah, he's got, no alternative at this stage of the game. You've got to throw your bat and take the risks, and unfortunately, just wasn't Jeff Ganninon's day today. And but he'll be much better for the experience as well, and I'm sure he'll be back again next year. And looking forward to another good season with Stockton Raymond Terrace. I'm sure that he'll go back there and take all this experience on board as well.
Yes, and out comes young Bailey McGill, the young upstart from, is he Toronto, did you say?
Cardiff Boolaroo.
Cardiff Boolaroo. Same area, really, isn't it?
Well, he used to actually play for Toronto at one stage, and then he moved to the Cardiff Boolaroo team. So, he's obviously coming in with not too many balls left. So he just needs to do exactly what Jeff Ganninon did there, and was just throw the bat if he can.
Yep, and I mean only 17, so this is a pretty big moment for young Bailey coming up against Morton here, who's on absolute fire. Oh, and he's certainly not intimidated, and that's a good first up shot as they go for 2, and the ball ripped in there and Morton not being able to handle it.
Yeah, it's always refreshing to see players that are coming through the system, and Bailey's just one of those players coming through the Newcastle system at the moment as well. So the under-17 squads, the under-19 squads, they're getting fairly strong for Newcastle, and it all bodes well for the future.
So has there been, I guess I'll talk to you now, Josh, any sort of talk of higher honours for young Bailey McGill?
Well, he's already in the New South Wales under-18 squad, and he's was a winner of a New South Wales scholarship only probably 2 months ago, which a bit of money that goes towards his cricket. And so, to win that, you basically have to be identified by New South Wales cricket as being a possible star of the future. So I think probably won't see him in Newcastle for too much longer. I think he'll be snapped up by a Sydney grade club, and could be Uni, who knows.
Definitely standing tall with a good temperament there and looking to retain the strike, that's for sure. He was looking for a second run there. I definitely think the youth hasn't daunted him at all.
No, well, he actually had an opportunity possibly this season to go to Penrith and play some great cricket out there, but he decided to stay in Newcastle for one more season to see how it all goes. So there are clubs in Sydney that obviously have seen him play and they like what they look. So I think as Josh said, he'll be coming down here and playing down here on a more regular basis. And I suppose for a player like himself, he needs to come and do that to be seen by the right people. And to further, progress his career, and that's the way he'll do it.
And of course, this is why the Kensington Cup is so beneficial for these young players, on the radar of all the Sydney teams at the moment. But this will test him with Turner coming at him, bowling absolute thunderbolts at the moment. And he's certainly not daunted by Turner either, is he, young Bailey? Going back for the second. Good running there by the Newcastle side.
No, he's an ambitious young guy. I know, talking to him, he definitely wants to be a professional cricketer. That's what he's aiming to do. So, I mean, it's obviously a tough road, but he's got the ability and the drive talking to people around him as well. So, you know, and he's showing here today he's not, perturbed or intimidated by the speed of this Turner.
Oh, and he's chipped that through the gap there, and he wants to come back for two, but just hold your ground there, young fellow.
Yeah, the only question mark that I would have on Bailey is nothing to do with his ability. His shoes are very bright. I'm
not as bright as yours. What are you talking about?
I'm not actually sure if. I mean, I don't know what the regulations are, but in regards to coloured shoes, so that'd be something that I'd probably need to do a bit more homework.
Well, last week he was wearing fluoro yellow boots for a while.
Yeah.
Said from two men wearing the brightest coloured shoes I've ever seen in my life sitting next to me. And that's another wicket as he's gone for cow corner there. Big cross-bat swing, and that's now, is it 7 for 149 on the Bar TV scoreboard?
Looks like 6 for
6
149.
For 149.
Yeah, Newcastle unfortunately going to fall short here, but as we were commenting before, if it was just another game, 149 runs not a bad score. So it also goes to show that they've actually, thought of themselves, well, okay, we're going to give this a real crack, and to go down by say 20 runs or 25 runs at the end of the day, that's not a bad performance really.
Yeah, chasing a very big score, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, that was
the 20th over.
That was a good innings from Mark Littlewood too. So I think Mark would be pretty happy with that, but probably won't be happy with the result. But sometimes you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, we said when he came in he needed a good captain's knock, and definitely was a good captain's knock, leading from the front. As McGill now at the opposite end of the striker, so only a couple of balls to be bowled in this match remaining. And he has bowled him middle stump as easy as you like, and it was always going to be a wicket, wasn't it, if it was going to be on the stumps, that ball. He's bowling really quick at the moment, his Turner, and the new batsman in, always going to try and hit the boundary.
Well, as a batsman, I suppose you've got nothing to lose, really, when you're in the circumstances that you are, and who knows, he could have got a nick on that and could have went for 4 runs. So, yeah, I mean, that's cricket, isn't it? And that's the way it goes sometimes. But, we've got to also say that's good bowling. That was on the stumps to a new batsman, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah, good end-to-end stuff, Josh. What are your thoughts? Where did the Newcastle team go from here?
I think in the wash-up, they've lost this game because I think they're probably a bowler or two short. I think especially in the pace department, I think obviously probably had Mark Cameron as the only out-and-out quick. There's probably guys back in Newcastle cricket who didn't play, who they'd probably like to have had. Like at top of my head, I think Luke Bird, University left arm quick. He would have been great. He's probably the other real dominant fast bowler in the comp, and obviously not having Sam Webber too was a big loss too with the ball and the bat.
Hat-trick ball here as well. The crowd on their feet and clapping around the ground here.
Yeah, well, Mark Cameron, he won't mind. He won't mind this. He's plenty of experience.
This is going straight back over his head. Oh, and he's just dropped that, and you owe that bowler a beer, young Joe Burns. You'll be buying him beers all night at the social club at the University of New South Wales, because he's just dropped the hat-trick ball. That's unlucky for Turner. Good bowling.
Yeah, I'm not sure if did that actually bounce just before him, or
I don't think that carried. Yeah, if we can get maybe a replay of that, that may have fallen short of him actually.
Yeah, but Turner's going to be blaming him anyway. Let's face it.
He will be, yeah, for sure.
That was catchable all day of the week, according to any fast bowler. Yes, and that'll be stumps there. And your thoughts on the match, Josh?
Yeah, pretty much. As I said before, I just think the bowling really let Newcastle down. I think they just gave away too many boundary balls to the uni batsmen, and the uni batsmen were just were sensational. I mean, Walcombe, He's 91. He really showed that you can build a T20 innings through not just cross bat, cowboy batting, but actual solid, good cricket shots. And he showed that today. And I think in the end, the Newcastle just had too much work to do for their batsmen because probably the bowlers didn't retain the university batsmen early enough.
Yeah, thanks very much for your time today, Josh. And of course, for the first time today, as we go to the replay, we've had Peter Davis with us. If you want to talk us through this, and
yeah, that's very close, isn't it?
That's catchable.
Just looking at the replay, he's dived forward. I think that's bounced forward just before him.
Let's not sugarcoat it. That should have been caught.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hard angle to see there, but as you say, that was.
I can see with my own two eyes, and that's catchable any day of the week, even a Sunday.
But with the hat-trick ball there, unfortunately, you missed out there. But just summing it up, I think Josh pretty much summed it up in the right words there about their performance today. Newcastle Steel, not taking it away from University of New South Wales, they performed extremely well today. Opening batsman, 91 runs, sets it up. Newcastle bowling, probably not as good as it has been in the tournament today. And I think, as Josh said, the bowling was probably the difference in the day.
Yeah, thanks very much for your time today, Peter. We've enjoyed having you for the first time in the Bar TV box. Hopefully, when you're not umpiring, you can join us again for some commentary.
Yeah, look, it's been an absolute pleasure, and when I got the opportunity to come down here to do this, I certainly took it with both hands, and it's an experience I'll always remember. And yeah, mate, if I have any time in the future to come back and do it, I'll be back here for sure.
I'll tell you what, you took it with both hands, not like the few drop catches we saw out there, and you've been here today with Bar TV Sports, the home of grassroots sports across the country, across the land, and of course across the world, in bars, in clubs. Make sure you have a look at this. As Pete wants to say one more thing.
Yeah, just another quick plug to KINGSGROVE Sports. We do really appreciate their great support, both in Sydney and in Newcastle. They do a wonderful job for cricket, particularly. I know that they also look after other sports in other seasons and stuff like that, but we do appreciate their wonderful support as well.
Yeah, thanks very much, Pete. And as we wrap up the show, it's been the University of New South Wales victorious, getting a total of 179 runs. The Newcastle side falling just short, 7 for 151. Good all-round battle, though, here at the Village Green. Hopefully we see you next time for Bar TV. Tune in. Look at us on Facebook at Bar TV Sports, or at Twitter at Bar TV Sports. And, of course, hashtag Bar TV Sports as well on Twitter to keep up with all the information and all the grassroots sports around the country. Thanks very much, everybody. I've been Gareth Wozik. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate for you guys here today. Catch you next time.